How are you tonight?
Great.
Great. Oh, come on, guys. Come on, Damien.
Where you at?
Hey, just so you know, I've coached ASO, I've been Verne for many, many years. I know you guys have lungs, so how are we all tonight?
Great.
That's better.
Excited.
We are going to call this meeting to order at 6:33 p.m. on May 15th. I would like to call to order the City of Laverne Council meeting. I welcome all of you here tonight for the council meeting in which we conduct the business of the city. And I want to remind everyone that per the city's rules of decorum, all speakers, members of the audience, and council members are to conduct themselves with decorum and not to engage in conduct that interrupts orderly conduct of the meeting. Tonight, the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by veteran Thomas Brady, Army Corporal. And we're pleased once again to have our proud veterans will conduct the Pledge of Allegiance for us tonight. Gentlemen, come on up. It's led by the Band of Brothers 12034, Phil Ramirez. He's the commander, and he will instruct us on what we're going to do with the Pledge of Allegiance. There you go.
All active military, all veterans, law enforcement, first responders, render a hand salute. All others, place your right hand over your heart. Begin.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Mr. Ramirez, we're going to do
And I also like to have a little opportunity to thank Thomas Brady for continuous service to his community.
Well, sir, good evening. I'm honored to be here today in front of you, sir. My name is Michelle Cashway. You can call me Captain Sharp, City Councilman with us today. Here are our grateful City Council and our staff and our community here today. I want to recognize and appreciate you. City of Laverne Certificate of Recognition presented to Thomas Brady. This certificate is presented on behalf of the Laverne City Council to Army veteran Thomas Brady with sincere gratitude and appreciation for your years of dedicated service to our country. Thank you, specialists. God bless you. And God bless your service.
Thank you.
From one veteran to another.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Roll call, Mr. Domer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Kasha.
Here, sir.
Councilmember Johnson.
Here.
Councilmember Lau.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Crosby.
Here.
Mayor Hepburn.
Here.
All present, sir.
Mr. Domer, we did have a closed session before this. Do we have anything to report?
I'll take that, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
That's all right. Yes, there was a special meeting closed session that began at 5:30 this evening. No action was taken. That is reportable. Direction was given. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. With that, we have a special guest that just arrived a few minutes ago. Senator Susan Rubio is with us right now. I'm going to do a little bio on her because she's amazing. Senator Susan Rubio was elected to the California Legislature in 2018 and represents Senate District 22, which fortunately now includes Laverne. Previously, she was a public school teacher for 17 years at Baldwin Park and Monrovia School Districts. You know what? Come on up. Previously, she was a public school teacher for 17 years at Baldwin Park and Monrovia school districts and was elected official for 13 years in the city of Baldwin Park. And she is part of a dynamic duo as her sister is Assemblywoman Blanca Rubio. The first Latina chair of the Senate Insurance Committee, Senator Rubio is on the Senate leadership team as Assistant Majority Whip. She is a committee member of Energy, Utilities, Communications, Health, Transportation, Governmental Organization, and Joint Committee on Rules. Just a few. She is co-chair of the Wildfire Working Group and is also a member of the Senate Housing Working Group. She is chair of the Senate Select Committee on Domestic Violence. In addition, she is a member of the Select Committees of the Asian Pacific Islander Affairs, Mental Health, California, Armenia, ARTSOC, Mutual Trade, Art and Cultural Exchange. She is also a member of the Latino Legislative Caucus, Legislative Jewish Caucus, Los Angeles Caucus, San Gabriel Valley Caucus, and Legislative Women's Caucus. Just a few. Born in Juarez, Mexico, Senator Rubio is the proud daughter of a former bracero worker and housekeeper. She attended East Los Angeles College and earned a master's degree in education from Azusa Pacific University. She now lives in Baldwin Park. Senate District 22 is comprised of the cities of Azusa, Baldwin Park, Bradbury, Covina, Duarte, El Monte, Laverne, Pomona, South El Monte, West Covina, and unincorporated communities Charter Oaks, Citrus, North El Monte, South Monrovia, and Vincent, as well as San Bernardino County cities of Chino, Montclair, and Ontario. We welcome you to our council chambers. You have the mic.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I don't know where they got that bio, but I'm a little embarrassed that I'm taking so much of your time. I really just wanted to come and meet all of you personally. Normally, they keep us locked up from Monday through Thursday, and it was important for me to be here in person. I could have, called or maybe phoned in, but I really wanted to meet all of you in person. I know it's a little confusing these days because you happen to have two senators. The 2020 redistricting put Senator Portantino and myself in the same district. However, he will term out in 2024. So for 2 years, you're lucky enough to have both of us. So that's good news. I work really well with Mr. Portantino. In fact, when I was a teacher in Monrovia, he was my senator, and that's how we met. I used to bother him for certificates for my students. Every time they won the spelling bee, he learned to eventually give me what I wanted because I wanted to recognize my students. But I wanted to come in and really just share a little bit of who I am. He kind of said it all, but my passion is education. As you know, I was a teacher for 17 years, vice principal for 3. But some of the issues that I want to tackle, which I have been tackling, I've been a senator for 5 years. I'm not yours. I just had the privilege of inheriting this wonderful community in January. So you don't know very much about me. And I've tried to send out legislative updates so you guys get to know me like my other community. I spent 4 years getting to know them. They know my policy, they know my heart, they know how well I work with all my council. Now I have the beautiful task of getting to know you as well. So if you have some of the flyers that come through your home, it's just really an attempt for you to know what I'm doing and how government is working for you. There's top 5 issues that I focus on. Education, clearly as a teacher, correct? And also housing, because I know that housing is very expensive here in the city of California. So I set out to figure out a way to help local communities build housing. And I also work a lot on veteran affairs. I'm a member of a military family, so thank you to all the service member personnel here. And so I focus a lot on veteran issues, senior issues, and also in particular, what's important to me is just making sure that I work with my local communities. I know that there's been some challenges about housing these days. And I understand your frustration. As the mayor stated, I spent 13 years in local government, so I feel your concern. I was you. I'm still you. One of the things that I do well is, before I make a decision in Sacramento, I always put my council member hat on, then a senator hat on. And I know that I just came over to this side, but last year, I think 2 years ago, there was a bill, SB 50, by Wiener from San Francisco. And I had 16 cities. So what I did is I gathered all my 16 cities, city managers, and we debated the issue. They told me they didn't want it, and I voted no. And that's very rare in Sacramento. And I did it because I work really well with Contract Cities, which is a group that advocates for local control. I did it because I was a local council member, and I know how hard it is when someone's telling you what to do. So I really pride myself in listening to our local community. But there are some misconceptions about some of the bills I have. And a lot of I've been watching you because I want to learn about the community. And there's SB 20 that's come up quite a bit. First of all, it excludes the San Gabriel Valley. It doesn't apply to these communities at all. Absolutely none. What it did is, in 2019, I created a housing trust. And the word housing is in there, but what it really is a bank. As a local council member, we try to build housing and projects, and we didn't have enough money. So I decided that I wanted to support my local council members by putting a lot of money in there. I think I put over 30 million in there. And so when they have projects and they want to build projects, they go to the bank. I'm calling it a bank, but it's a housing trust. And they say, I need 10 million, 5 million. And it's up to them, and they get the money. That's all it does. It provides funding to help local communities. So I know it's already kind of late, and I want to make sure I don't take too much of your time. But again, SB 20 doesn't apply to the San Gabriel Valley. It's excluded. That's only for cities that want to take advantage of a housing trust like we've been able to do here. $30 million. $30 million. I think it was Pomona who had 4 projects that they were just sitting there. They didn't have enough money to fund it. They went to the housing trust and said, we need money. The housing trust said, okay. And they got $4 million to finish some of their projects. Other cities wanted $3 million, $2 million. So anyways, I think right now we've given out about $15 million. So it's all it is. It's a bank to support my local communities. I know I had a lot of housing issues and a lot of projects, a lot of great ideas, and they were just left on the table because we couldn't afford them. So again, as a local council member, I wanted to support your community. So it's not a mandate. It doesn't tell anybody what to do. The council decides what they want to do, and they ask for money. That's all it does. There are some tiny homes that have been built, 3 in the region, and that's only because their council members decided that they wanted it. Their communities decided they wanted it. I think Baldwin Park built 2. That's housed 100 homeless individuals and families as well. 7 of them last week were transitioned into permanent housing. So Baldwin Park has done well because instead of having encampments, now they have tiny homes where they put people from their community. They don't allow anybody from outside. It's what every community wants. That's what they get. It's not a mandate. They decide. They just ask me for money. They get the funding. And if the community doesn't want it, it doesn't happen. April Verlado, council member in the city of Arcadia, wanted to build tiny homes. Her community didn't want him, and she didn't build them. And again, she had money to build them from my trust, but she didn't move forward with it. So again, it's all that I wanted to kind of share today, that I am really involved in local government because I was a council member. As a teacher, I know how important it is to have safe cities. I work a lot with my local police. I'm a staunch supporter of our police. I'm a victims advocate, that's what I do. And I pass a lot of bills to strengthen policies so that we hold perpetrators accountable. So I'll leave it there. Thank you.
We're going to do a photo op. Come on, I'm all about photo ops. Come on, everybody come down. I just want to say on behalf of the city council in our city, we are very proud to have Susan Rubio. She's a shaker and a maker. Whatever she says she's going to do, she does, and we really appreciate it. So on behalf of us and the city, you're a rock star. Thank you. Everywhere we go now, she's around the San Gabriel Valley, so she's really doing what she says. It's putting her money where her mouth is. Thank you very much. Now we're all here for, besides meeting our wonderful senator, Damien High School ice hockey team. If I could have the coaches up here, I'd appreciate it. Coaches? That would be Curtis Fisher, Mike Weekly, and Spencer McClay. All 3. Wow. Okay. Oh yeah, you can have all. Okay, we're done, thank you. Oh. Okay, here we go. Damien High School ice hockey team had a remarkable season this year. In a historic achievement for the school, the team clinched the Hockey 2A state championship. The team went a perfect 4-0, winning the state finals by a score of 7-3. The strong junior class and 4 seniors led the team to victory for Damien's first ever varsity state championship. That's a round of applause. Come on. Buoyed by their state championship victory, the team competed in the national tournament, advancing to the quarterfinals. We were all very proud of the team and coaching staff of how far the boys went to the hockey season, having made it further than any other varsity team in school history. We cannot wait to see the results next year, led by a very strong senior class to be. The team is coached by Curtis Fisher, assisted by Mike Weekly and Spencer McClay. I'd like to call up the team and coaches. We already got that. We're going to go ahead and you're going to introduce the team one at a time. Are you ready?
I know their faces pretty well by now, so I'm just gonna go down the line. So first one, Lucas Flynn. Seth Morris. Our senior captain, Andy Garcia. Sean Harris. Sammy Ochoa. Nolan Burchett. Cameron Figueroa. Adam Scott. Ethan Lagasca. Mark Modell. Carter Ochoa. Ethan Winters. Alex Young. And Blake Gatsby.
Okay, Kingston Duke. Oh, that was easy. Travis, come on. Travis, come on. Cameron Figueroa. Ethan Winters. Ethan Lagasca. Is that correct? Sammy Ochoa. Nolan Burchett. Blake Gatsby. Mark Modell. Adam Scott. Jaden Marin Conde. Carter Ochoa. Isaac Faulkner. Stephen Anderson. Alex Young. You're here.
Y'all got that nice hair, Mayor.
McCurran? Andrew Garcia. Adam Desmarias. Sean Harris. JT Lamb. I think we're there. Senator Rubio, please.
Oh my goodness, I should have done this simultaneously. Mark. Odell. There you go. Thank you. Adam Scott. Blake.
Just getting everything tonight, guys.
Isaac.
President Biden will be here in a minute.
Gotta go.
Ma'am.
He'll be riding his bike.
Carter Ochoa.
Ours are nice, but hers are really nice. Sorry, you know.
Okay, and Andrew.
Just so you all know, this is a first for Susan Rubio, Senator, coming in and giving out awards to our high schools and stuff. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Won't be the last.
Won't be the last. The coach is right behind you.
All right, gentlemen, what we're gonna do is we want to photo So short guys in front, tall guys in
Wait, wait, Senator, you first. You're in the, come on.
Right here.
Parents, come on up. Come on. Don't be shy. Come on up, take a photo. Just sitting on my phone.
All right, everybody look over this way real quick.
Look right here where the mic is, everybody. Look this way.
Everybody squeeze in.
I know you guys like to take pictures. Come on. We good? Now let's get Senator Rubio. Now we're going to get the coach in with them. And then, okay. Okay, one more. We like pictures. Oh, we will. I'll let them. Oh, come on.
Run and jump.
Oh, like. Leah, it's your turn. Can you fly in there? Okay, council, come on. You guys go ahead. Come on, everybody, come on down. Okay, everybody look this way. Come on, over here. Come on. Okay, everybody squeeze in, squeeze in, squeeze in, squeeze in. Come on, squeeze. Thank you guys very much. There's enough for a good double-double. Our second one tonight is we're just Damien night tonight. This is great. Damien High School debate team. I'd like to call up Damien High School freshman brothers Brandon Maddox Park and their coach Chris Paredes. Brandon and Maddox Park and their coach Chris Paredes. Come on up. Damien High School freshman brothers Brandon and Maddox Park won the 35th first-year debate national championship in policy debate on March 19th at the Woodward Academy in Atlanta, Georgia. The brothers won 4 of 6 preliminary round debates and did not drop a single ballot across 4 elimination matches, going on a perfect 12 for 12 en route to the championship. That's a round of applause. Come on. It is the first national title for Damien since 2009. The team was coached by Chris Paredes, St. Lucy's Director of Debate, Damien's Associate Director of Debate, and the 2004 Spartan alumni. In addition to Brandon Maddox's older brother Luke, a junior at the high school. Would you like to say a few words?
Absolutely. And Luke, can you come on up here, buddy?
Come on up here, Luke.
My name is Tim Lewis. I'm the Director of Debate at Damien. Chris wasn't able to make it tonight. This is what Spartan Brotherhood looks like. Because while Chris was with the students in Georgia, Luke was the primary coach for these young men and ensured their national championship title. So you're in the presence of a national championship coach here, and we're really proud of the good work. Debate is one of the things that Damien does that is particularly special in the region, being foremost in the San Gabriel Valley as the premier policy debate institution. We're only able to do this because of the support of our community, the support of our administration, our incredible alumni, our families. That's who make it happen for us, and the brotherhood element is really what we center foremost. So I'm very proud to be able to share this with you all, and look for us in the future because more is coming.
Senator Rubio. Congratulations, guys. Again, round of applause. I know there's family here. Wants to get some pictures. Congratulations. Keeping up with the academic theme, I'd like to call up Marissa Castro-Salati from Southern California Edison, who will be presenting Jeremiah Wesley of Bonita High School as a 2023 Edison Scholar. Marissa.
I'm right here.
Oh, there you are.
Well, good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing? I'm Marissa Castro-Salvati. I'm one of the government relations managers for Southern California Edison. I have sort of twofold announcement here, but I had the city for a few years, and now I have some staff reassignment. And Sal, you want to come up here so that I can introduce you as well? So at this time, I know I had sent out a little bit of a note over the weekend that Sal Ramirez is going to be your new government relations manager for the next few years, hopefully till he's around at Southern California Edison. I really truly enjoyed the city. I know you have a lot of new council members. I know I've talked to Steve, and Cash was even saying, now that I'm learning how to speak Tagalog, you're leaving us? No, I'm not leaving, so you can still kind of, talk to me in conferences and different things, but I've been with Southern California Edison for 27 years, and so it's truly a great company to work for, but Sal's going to be there. I'm still going to be around, so I'll see you all in conferences. But tonight, actually, I wanted to just thank everybody with the council and the city manager, but tonight is a special night. So Jeremiah, why don't you come up here and bring your mom along? So let me give you a little bit of a story about this gentleman here. Jeremiah Whitley is a senior at Bonita High School, right down the street. And so right now, I wanted to announce to everybody in the community that he is one of our Edison Scholars. For folks who may not know what our Edison Scholars program is, Southern California Edison, Edison International, which is our parent company, provides 30 students every year since 2006. Since its inception, we have given out 796 scholarships and about $15 million to the spread of 2006 to now.
All right.
Each student, since last year, each student receives $40,000 in a span of 4 years. And one of the criteria is, of course, you have to be a high school senior within our service territory. A student has to be a resident of Southern California Edison's service territory, have a good standing in academics, going to a 4-year college, and it's a very competitive contest that they go through. They have to do a video, and I know if you guys have never seen his video, he has a really fun video. But Jeremiah is actually very athletic too. He loves math most of all, and that's what his major, I'm sure, is going to be. And I'll let him tell you guys what his major will be. But he's also a soccer player, one of the star athletes at Bonita High School. But this year is special. He is getting $50,000.
Yes.
So he increased the scholarship by 10,000, inflation, of course. So he's going to get that. Now, we actually usually have a big check that we give him, and he kind of inadvertently forgot to bring it with him. But
It's so small.
But But I think the most important thing is just announcing to everybody here in the community that you have a star here. You have a wonderful student that is from Bonita High School to represent the city of Laverne. So thank you so much for, no, you're welcome. And thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you, Ken. And I know, Cash, you helped out trying to get this wonderful gentleman squeezed into this program. But I do appreciate it. And I'm going to miss all of you guys, but I'm going to be around, like I said, so anything you need. But Sal is an incredible replacement, so you will love working with him. So Jeremiah, congratulations.
The people that have received these certificates tonight, you'll see it's Pride of Laverne. And the reason it's Pride of Laverne, Laverne in its heritage was a citrus farming community. We had some of the finest citrus, if not the finest citrus in the whole San Gabriel Valley. Actually San Bernardino also. So the Pride of Laverne is just representative of the people that we give these awards to, that we're very proud of you, and that the Pride of Laverne is what our heritage is from, so that's why. So the certificate is presented on behalf of the Laverne City Council in recognition of your scholastic achievements and for receiving the Edison Scholars Program Scholarship. Best wishes are extended for your continued success in college and your future career. Jeremiah Wheatley. There you go. Congratulations.
And he's going to Rutgers, by the way. He just got
Hold still, don't move yet. Sorry.
Okay, everybody.
Can we get the senator in real quick? Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Okay, all of us, come on. Come on. Let's take one more. We like pictures of our. I've got grandkids, pictures are important. Only 2 more hours. 2 more hours. 2 more hours, you'll be out of here. Promise. No, just kidding. The next presentation is the Water Awareness Month and recognizing former Three Valleys Municipal Water District Board Member Brian Brocock. Come on up, Brian, please. The City of Laverne Proclamation, whereas water is one of California's most precious natural resources and the health and well-being of our community depends on reliable, high-quality water supply when we have it. Whereas Water Awareness Month, which we have more now, right, encourages a statewide understanding and appreciation for the value of water conservation and wise decisions on water issues and water use. And whereas residents play an important role in the regional effort to preserve water around the home through landscape irrigation conservation, efforts in the installation of water-efficient appliances. And whereas Brian Bocock serves as a vital advocate and wealth of knowledge for water issues in the region for over 56 years, including 19 years as the Public Works Director of the City of Laverne and as the Three Valleys Metropolitan Water District Board Member from 2003 to 2022. And whereas during his time at the Three Valleys Municipal Water Board, Director Bocock served as Board Vice President, Treasurer, Secretary, and on behalf of the Three Valleys Municipal Water District served as a representative to the main San Gabriel Basin Water Master, ACWA Region 8, ACWA, JPIA, San Gabriel Basin Water Quality Authority, and 6 Basins Water Master, and provided irreplaceable contributions to associations such as the Southern California Water Utilities Agency, And whereas Brian has been a trusted voice in the water industry and helped ensure safe and stable water supplies to the region. Now be it proclaimed by the City of Laverne that the month of May 2023 we recognize as Water Awareness Month, and we honor Brian Pocock, who has dedicated decades of his life to the water industry with vision and determination. We urge the citizens and customers of the City of Laverne to join efforts to help Californians use water wisely, and thank Brian Pocock for his past passion in serving. Dated this 15th day of May 2023. Thank you, Brian. I'd like to say a few words.
I'm also on the USC Foundation for Engineering. If any of you guys want to be going to USC, give me a holler. I thought I'd make a plug because that's where I was today. We had a meeting. I'm one of the directors on the foundation. I've got 61 years in water. I want to try to encourage any of you that haven't made up your mind, take some business classes, get involved, and get in water. There's money to be made, but the satisfaction on the other side is a lot better. And if I could encourage you, I will try. And like I said, I've been in water a long time, but I've also, my son is here. He's been in water, God, I don't know how long now. He's been in water 35 years maybe. And then I've got a granddaughter, I've got another daughter, and they're all in water. And you can't go wrong because you can't do without it. And being as I got this audience, I'm going to leave one thought in your mind, because I'm very involved in water still. Even though I was retired after December. But having said that, keep in mind, especially the young, go to your computer and pull up Sites Reservoir. I'm really pushing it. SITES Reservoir. It's just north of Sacramento. It's going to be a $5.1 billion project. And everybody complained when we didn't have any rain, but I'm telling you, instead of that, if we get this reservoir in up there, that'll take care of all the farmers in the Sacramento Valley. And if it takes care of the farmers in the Sacramento Valley, it's going to bring water down to us. And we'll have a better supply than what we do right now. We do get water from Metropolitan Water, but it will enhance our supply so much. It's unbelievable. Even though you think right now the drought is over, when that sunshine starts coming out, that water's going to go away. And I'll leave you with this thought, especially because I got the senator right here. That's the reason I'm saying it. But just to let you know, the Department of Water Resources, now this affects Southern California, the Department of Water Resources just put out a bulletin that said all the rain that we had, now think about all the rain that we've had. You see the reservoirs are full, you see everything moving. Even though all that rain, and a lot of it was up north, Department of Water Resources said 95% of that water come down the Sacramento to the Delta and went under the Golden Gate Bridge to the ocean. 95%. So I want the adults and the young men and women that are out there, think about that. And I wanted Senator Rubio to definitely think about that. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Well, we just happen to have known each other for a long, long time. I mean, we're in this business for forever, I think, right? And so thank you for your service. You know, he's been a tremendous asset to California. He just advocates. I know this is not a topic that people normally discuss, but it's true. What the work you do, it's tremendous. And this is on behalf of the California State Senate. I want to honor you. You know, I want all your residents to know that even though you're not out on a dais and in front of people, you're always working behind the scenes. And so that's a lot of years, 61 years. So thank you for your service and your advocacy. And I'm going to pay attention to you and what you're saying. So I'll make sure that we bring some funding for water. But you're such a teacher. I'm such a teacher. And I always take an opportunity to teach. So thank you. I hope that you guys, the young kids, learn something. So congratulations. Big round of applause to my friends.
Senator.
We're in the middle. Senator Rubio.
She's a big water eater.
Thank you.
See, one last thing, I want to make sure my whole family, one under here.
Right.
I got one up in Utah, I'm sorry. I got one up in Utah, but I wanted to tell you who I got here. I got my son, Bob, raise your hand or something. There it is. And then I've got my wife down at the end, that's Sonia. She's just up here. And then my granddaughter, that's Bob's daughter. She works here at the city. She's been with the city for close to 20 years or 20 years now. Anyway, she's been here. And we got her husband, the good-looking gentleman with the shiny head. That's Matt. And next to him is Maddie. That's my great-granddaughter. And this little Indian up here in front that's giving everybody a bad time, that's Reagan. She's the character, and that's also my great-granddaughter. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Brian. Thank you for your service. Okay, one more, and this is very important. City of Laverne proclamation. Oh my gosh. No, glasses. As the night goes on, the letters get smaller. Whereas motorcycle riding is a popular form of recreation and transportation for more than 800,000 people in California, and whereas motorcycles are a common and economical means of transportation that reduces fuel consumption and road wear, and contributes to a significant way to the relief of traffic, parking, and congestion. Whereas it is the responsibility of all who put themselves behind the wheel to become aware of motorcycles, regarding them with the same respect as any other vehicle traveling the highways of this country. And it is the responsibility of riders and motorists alike to obey all traffic laws and safety rules. And whereas a brotherhood aimed towards education, ABATE advocates for motorcycle safety, expanded the award-winning California Motorcycle Safety Program, CMSP, and whereas since 2006, motorists from ABATE Local 19 and the community have been a central point of Laverne's annual 4th of July parade with over 200 bikes in attendance and are an important part of our local community. Now be it proclaimed by the City of Laverne that the month of May 2023 be recognized as Motorcycle Safety Awareness Month. And we urge all residents to join to improve safety and awareness on our roadways and to look twice and save a life. Dated this 15th day of May. Receiving this will be Jeff Bassler, and he's the one that puts this whole thing together on our 4th of July. Thank you. Can I say a word?
There would be a lot more people tonight, except for this is a special day of the year. Tomorrow morning is the start of 2 days of about 2,000 motorcycles leaving Ontario, California, heading for Washington, D.C. And they pick up bikes as they go, and it turns into a monster of a rally to a ride to the Vietnam Memorial Wall during Memorial Day weekend. My wife, the brewmistress, and I will be preparing coffee for them all night long for the send-off, which is why I'm not dressed as a biker today. So many of the people that would otherwise be here tonight are prepping for that in the morning. But we do have some very important people I'd like to bring up here. We have Sam and John Peterson, who are Laverne residents and founding members of Abate Local 19, which is our local area. We've got Bill Baum, who is also a founding member and former Laverne resident. My wife, the brewmistress. And of course I. Y'all come up for a picture? Sam, John, come on. with all that we do with the Laverne 4th of July parade, we have all the motorcycles in for that, and we're so welcomed as a motorcycle group. I thought it important to bring Laverne. Sam, right here in the center. It was great to have Laverne recognize Motorcycle Awareness Month.
Right, she's your boss.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah.
With that, we're going to take a 5-minute recess because I know you guys want to go in and out. They expire at 12 o'clock tonight, don't they? Thank you all for coming. We really appreciate this. And if there's any other things at any of the schools, just contact our city manager or our assistant city manager and let us know what's going on. We love this. This is the heart of our community. We really do like this. So thank you all for coming. Thank you all, and thanks teams. We're looking for next year. With that, meeting started again at 7:30. We're going to announcements of upcoming community events. If anybody have one, Kathy Calusa. Upcoming events.
Good evening, everybody. I have a great new poster that Sherry created for us with some of our, I'll show that for Rich. Some of our accomplishments, and one of the main focal points is our truck here that we're still working on. We've got people fast and furiously working to get it running so it can drive in our 4th of July parade. We're still accepting donations, so anytime anybody wants to help. If you have helped us in the past, thank you. If you can help us a little more, we'd love it. We also are always, up for membership, and 20 for individuals, 25 for families, and 200 for a lifetime membership. It's a bargain. And we sell our books and our jams. Event, we are going to be this weekend at the LA County Fair. We're going to have a booth on Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 5. So come visit us, drop donations in our jar, say hi, send friends over so they can join us or join our historical society. And I can't think of anything else on that matter. And if you don't mind, I'm just going to leave this up front for anybody so they can look at it.
We're gonna take to each person's house. We're gonna have a week, like sitting in our house for artwork for $200 per council member. Oh, you're liking it.
I like this idea. Make it happen, Mr. Mayor. The other thing I was going to announce is Sowing Seed for Life. We'll have the food bank this Wednesday from 8 to 11, and it's at Charisma Life Church, which is on Arrow Highway, north side. I don't have the address, but north side of Arrow Highway, just a little east of Gary Avenue. So if you know of anybody in need, please send them. If you have anybody that has time and would like to come help, we're always looking for volunteers. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Just a announcements are strictly for stuff that's not on the agenda. Public comments for that. So if there's any announcements happening in our community, you're more than welcome to come up. Do we have anyone else on? There's no one on. Is there a Zoom on? There's no one on right now. If you could state your name and your address, please, sir.
Wait, is this public comment?
Yes.
Yeah, we're just.
Oh, no, this is just announcements. Public comment will be at the end.
My apologies.
That's okay. Any other announcements? Mayor Pro Tem Crosby.
Yes, we have the Library Commission meeting in the Laverne Library on Wednesday at 10 a.m.
Very good. Any other announcements, council? Mr. Johnson and I, and also Lori Johnson, were at Patrick Gotti's celebration over at the Veterans Hall this Saturday. And it was very well attended. And I mean, for an ex-council member, an ex-business member, You don't realize how instrumental he was in actually for our foothill corridor and making sure that the businesses stayed in the foothill corridor, and that's why our foothill corridor is so successful, and also the downtown business district. So he was very instrumental in that. His family members were there from all over the place. Where were they, Steve? Arizona and all over.
Yeah, High Desert.
High Desert.
Riverside.
Yeah, many of the family members spoke, and it was very, very nice. Pictures and food, but just the fact that he was, you don't realize what people do until you read their bio and tell, my goodness, this person really made a difference in Laverne and made it what it is today. So anyway, that was very nice. Any other, that's more loud?
Just one announcement, the Tri-City Mental Health is having their meeting this Wednesday at 5:30. So as a reminder, you can join on Zoom, and that information is available online. May is also Mental Health Awareness Month, so there are a lot of activities and things that Tri-City is providing as resources. So please feel free to take a look, share out the information, and take care of yourselves.
I'm sorry.
That's our cat.
I just have one that's report for the St. Gabriel Valley Mosquito Control Board on that.
What is the bring the mosquito here?
You know, I did volunteer to be their mascot.
I can see you in that.
Oh man. I just wanted to read that just for the past month, the St. Gabriel Valley Mosquito Vector Control District Board of Trustees met, we did meet on May 12th at 7 a.m. This past month, West Nile virus has not been detected in bird or mosquito population in St. Gabriel Valley. Mosquito control staff conducted 1,412 site visits across the region and ensured nearly 65% of the 33,220 non-functional swimming pools are compliant. Mosquitoes are expected to be more active this time of year, which is why everyone must tip out any stagnant water weekly. It also is recommended to use repellent outdoors to prevent bites. To learn more about the repellents or to submit a tip, visit us at www.sgbmosquito.com. Thank you. Special shout out.
That was good.
Thank you, sir.
Very good.
Appreciate you.
I must remind everybody too, with as much rain as we've had, one little drop of water is enough for mosquitoes to lay eggs. So be very careful. Look around your yards, look at those pots, turn them over if there's any standing water, because obviously it's going to get warm. And one day we'll get the mosquito here for us.
We will.
National Night Out would be really good for that.
Noted.
With that, we're going to close announcements. We move to consent calendar. As a reminder, the consent calendar is considered routine matters will be enacted by one motion unless pulled for separate discussion. Mr. Gilmore, was there anything pulled for the consent calendar?
Nothing was pulled. I do want to make note, unless you want to, that.
Yes, please. Would you make note announcements regarding the 740 Foothill?
Oh, yes. So on the 740 Foothill, we did check. There is nothing on the board meeting tomorrow. As Supervisor Barger did say, that has been continued indefinitely until enough public engagement is done. The cities of San Dimas and Laverne are working together, and we are looking at a joint town hall meeting coming up sometime in June. So we're looking at a date for that. That both councils would be there, and that we would get LA County Board of Supervisor and LA County departments and the proposed developer. We continue to work and gain information so that we can understand where that project is going and what we can do to continue the city council's opposition to it.
And I will say that Mayor Pro Tem Crosby and myself were at the city council meeting at San Dimas last Tuesday, and they did vote to a letter of opposition to 740 Foothill, so that was part of the information, but that was a 3.5-hour meeting. It was very interesting.
And for additional information, both cities have a mirror site, so if you go to www.cityoflaverne.org/740foothill, and if you do 740 Foothill for San Dimas, whatever their website is, but come to ours, there will be the same information, all the letters, all the information, the development plans as we get them and as they change will be on there. So also information on community meetings, so the next community meeting that we hear about, we'll be posting that on there too. So.
Thank you, City Manager. With that, we have the consent calendar. Is anybody on the council on the dais wish to pull any item or any discussion? Consent item number 12, Mr. Mesho Kashapakita will be recused from the vote as it's in his landscape planning item. With that,
Yeah, you just,
So you vote.
you can
You
still.
vote. Thank you so much.
Does he know what to do right now?
That's nothing. You're too, doing your voice with mosquito vector control.
The consent calendar was passed by vote. A council member, Tashel Pagita, recused himself from.
Item 12.
Item 12, thank you.
Public hearings. Now we'll move to public hearings. There are 3 public hearings. The first one is allocation of community development block grant funds for removal of accessibility barriers at City Hall public areas. City Manager, do you want to call up staff member who will be reporting on this?
Thank you. I'd like to call up Candace Bocock to the podium. No relation to any other Bocock that was in the
No,
way.
not at all.
Very common name.
Good evening, everyone.
Half of Verne's name Bocock, but that's up though. Sorry.
So back in January, the City Council approved the use of the Community Development Block Grant Funds for the next fiscal year, which included the Senior Hot Lunch Program and sidewalk projects. The total allocation balance that was left over from that was $522,000. A preliminary list of projects at public facilities that involve the removal of barriers for those with disabilities for ADA compliance has begun, and 2 immediate projects have been identified. The first is the installation of accessible public counters at each department within City Hall. That is expected to cost about $120,000. And the second is the renovation of the restrooms at City Hall for ADA compliance, and that is expected to cost about $80,000. The total CDBG funding needed is an estimated $200,000. The total balance of the funding remaining, if these projects are approved, is about $325,000. Staff is finalizing assessment of other options for accessibility at City Hall, as well as accessibility improvements including sidewalks, sidewalk replacement, curb cuts, and ramp options at various city locations. It is recommended that the City Council approve Resolution 23-24, allocating $100,000 for ADA compliant public counters and $80,000 for the ADA compliant public restrooms. And second, appropriate $200,000 from the CDBG fund. I am available if you have any questions.
Do you have any questions for staff before we go to public comment? Any questions? Yes.
Sorry, one question for the. Just want to make sure that we haven't changed anything regarding feeding our seniors. There's no change in that.
Nothing.
Okay, good. Just want to make sure that you guys do a great job. I want to continue that. It's really very special to me. So as long as you continue that, the meals, and maybe have a hot meal that we did last time during the time, whatever we need to do, I want to make sure that does not change.
Yes.
Thank
Not
you.
changing.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Question, Crosby.
Thank you. I know when we were talking about these funds prior, one of our residents really spoke about these chambers in here and trying to make sound and for people that are disabled as well. I don't know if we've looked into that. I know that's not what this is, but if we looked to spend some money on that as well.
Correct, just real quick on that, we're not looking to utilize CDBG funding on that, but we are utilizing what's called PEG funding, so that's the Public Education and Government Funds that come from the 1% Digital and Video Cable Act on cable charges and all that stuff. So we do have 3 quotes. We're in LVTV, and we're looking at the July timeframe for that. So, and that will include those upgrades for hearing accessibility.
Thank you, Ms. Bocock. We'll maybe have back up here in a minute. With that, no other questions from the dais? We'll open up public hearing. Anybody wish to speak on this item? With that, we're going to close the public hearing. We bring it back up to the dais. Do we have a motion or any other discussion first with our staff?
I just wanted to say thank you. I know that this was something that all of us on the dais asked about, was the CDBG money. How could we make sure that it gets used? And so I think this is a great use of that. So thank you to you and everyone else that moved this forward. So if there are no other comments, I'm happy to move this item.
I'll just make one. I want to echo that because the fact that we're trying to unhinge these pots of money we have that it's very difficult to use, like some other ones that the city's trying to use, and so we have roadblocks every time we turn around. But our staff has done a very good job on finding little areas that we can divert these funds to, so I appreciate that very much also. With that,
I move to approve resolution number 2324, allocating $120,000 for ADA compliant public counters and $80,000 for ADA compliant public restrooms in City Hall. And I move to appropriate $200,000 from the CDBG fund for the removal of accessibility barriers at City Hall in the public areas.
second. Vote please. That was a long.
That motion carried 5-0.
Very good. Thank you, Ms. Bocock. You were just perfect. I just want to make one comment just to go back on the consent calendar. We breezed by that, but item number 3 on the consent calendar, Public Works Week 2023 proclamation. National Public Works Week is May 21st through May 27th, as requested by the City Council to proclaim the week in support of the hard work and dedication for all members of the City of Laverne Public Works Department. We appreciate everything you guys do, seriously. So, thank you. With that, we move to item number 14, Mr. Gomer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a public hearing for first reading of ordinance number 1116. And I believe that Gabriel, you will be coming up here. Gabriel from the Community Development Department will be making the presentation, and there will be a slide presentation too.
Good evening.
All right, good evening, council members and mayor. So today we're going to go over the first reading for our ADU ordinance updates. Go ahead. So starting off with a brief introduction about the ADU ordinance in general. So back in 2019, the City Council had adopted an urgency ordinance under Ordinance 1089, which related to accessory dwelling units and junior accessory dwelling units. This urgency ordinance went into effect on January 1st of 2020. And moving forward, on January 1st of 2023, the state passed a few amendments to their existing government code sections that relate to ADUs, which further clarified some of the regulations that they have in place. So in order to be in compliance with these new updated regulations that the state has provided, staff is presenting a first reading of the draft ordinance 1116, which will update the existing ADU provisions of our Laverne Municipal Code section that relates to ADUs, specifically section 18.120. So moving forward. So we're going to go into a little summary about what the specific changes were, and I'll make sure to keep this as brief as possible. So the first section that has been modified would be the definition section, and this specifically, the code was modified so it better defines what's classified as a detached structure. Moving forward, the application process of our code section was also modified as well. This included a section which states that the city cannot deny any ADU/JADUs applications based on the need to correct any non-conforming zoning, building, or unpermitted structure on the lot, which do not affect the construction of the ADU itself specifically. So moving forward into allowed zones. This one specifically relates to a removal of a section which originally prohibited ADUs from being located within the very high fire severity zone, as within the government code sections from the state. And so ADUs built under the mandatory provisions, and I can go into that a little bit later, would be exempt from the high fire zone. Moving forward. So next we're going to go into the development standards and requirements. So the first thing that was changed was basically the height provisions were changed to reflect what the state currently has. And so I did want to make a quick note here that under the ordinance itself, on page 4, under section C1, there was a typo on there. We want to quickly address that, which states that that basically in no event shall the allowed height be more than 16 feet in height, meaning that it can exceed 16 feet in height. So there's a typo there. It was changed from less to more. And moving forward, detached ADUs within half mile of a transit corridor, or if on a lot with a multi-family dwelling, can go up to a height of 18 feet. Now they can go up to get an allowance of 2 more feet, and that's specifically for to accommodate a roof pitch in order to keep the roof pitch in line with the existing structure on the lot. And then lastly, part of that section, attached ADU shall have a maximum of 25 feet or the height of the primary dwelling, whichever is lower. There also was a section that was clarified which states what the lot coverage, outdoor living area, minimum distance between buildings, requirements, that those specific requirements cannot prohibit the construction of an 800 square foot ADU, otherwise known as the mandatory provision for the ADU. It also added a section which exempts ADUs from being required to have parking if the proposal is in conjunction with a new single family or multifamily structure. So, and then it removed any subjective design standards from our code. So we make sure to be in compliance that we make sure everything is objective in order to be in compliance with the state. And so moving forward to the section of junior accessory dwelling units, we clarified on the code that JADUs shall have an interior entrance to the main living area of the primary residence. And so lastly, there were section changes to our regulations portion, specifically that clarified that JADUs and ADUs cannot be sold separately from the primary residence unless it is being sold by a qualified nonprofit corporation in accordance with the government code sections from the state. There was also an addition to a section that clarified that the city cannot deny any permit for an unpermitted ADU if it was constructed before 2018, unless staff can present findings that the structure in itself poses a threat to public safety in any way, or to the occupants or to the public. And then lastly, we just added a section that requires that ADUs and JADUs obtain a separate address from the building and safety department. Other than those changes, there were just mainly syntax and formatting changes to the code itself. And so staff and the development review committee, or not development, staff and the planning commission recommend that the city council should introduce by title only and waive further reading of ordinance number 1116, an ordinance of the city council of the city of Laverne, which amends the zoning provisions of the Laverne Municipal Code section relating to accessory dwelling units and junior accessory dwelling units in accordance with state law, and making those provisions, making the determination that the adoption of the ordinance is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act. And I'm here to answer any questions, as well as our city council, our city attorney counsel is here as well, Lisa Kranis, to assist in answering any questions that you guys may have. Thank you.
Any questions for staff or if not?
Yeah, I'm sorry. So in 18.129.082, you said that allows someone to sell part of their ADU that's in conjunction with a single-family residence only to a qualified nonprofit.
Correct.
Well, it's you can't sell.
You cannot sell unless it's to a nonprofit that meets those qualifications. Essentially, it's Habitat for Humanity. I mean, there's...
That narrows that down.
It does. I mean, they didn't call it out, but from what I understand, that maybe there's 1 or 2 others that qualify. But it's not just a 501c3. There are other requirements as well that it has to meet.
Pretty strict.
Pretty strict.
Okay.
Haven't seen it done yet in many of the cities we represent.
Well, it'll happen eventually somewhere.
But somewhere.
Yeah. But Habitat, I mean, that's a much better organization for helping veterans anyway, or their organization, so definitely. That's fun. Any other questions for staff before we go to public hearing? Thank you very much. I have some questions for you later, of course. With that, we're going to open up public hearing. Does anybody wish to speak on this matter? Mr. Bowen? Ms. Anderson.
Pardon me. Good evening, council and Mr. Mayor. Cash, I was watching your face during the presentation, and I tried to read this too, and there's a lot to it. I'm a simple guy. I'm just trying to figure out, it sounds like you want to put an ADU, you're pretty much guaranteed of doing it. Question I have is, again, information. Somebody said you could put one in the front yard. Is that true? I don't know if I'll get answers to the
Well, yeah,
question.
she's writing it down. Yeah.
The answer is yes, or I will get an
It
answer.
depends on the lot size and where
You could,
Do you want me to address them?
Why don't you have your questions, she'll write them down, then she can answer.
Okay.
Okay.
Because my impression was a garage conversion or put one in your backyard, but now I'm hearing, well, if it fits, you can put one in your front yard. Also, the 18 to 20 feet on the line, and I live in an HOA. And actually, during the last presentation, I had asked the city manager to have Eric, I believe he's the lead on this, that I was given, but he won't be available to address it for, I believe, 6 weeks, he said. So my question is, how's an HOA? I live also in a high fire zone, but I've heard a couple of conflicting things. Is it exempt in a high fire zone? Can you do this in a very high fire zone?
Yes.
Or can you not do this in a very high fire zone?
Yes.
And it appears the answer is, hell yes, let it burn, which is very odd. And there's people in northern Laverne that can't get insurance now, that the insurance companies are dropping them like flies. And they're saying you live too close to the mountains, you live too close to the golf course. How does that affect anything? So there's quite a lot here, and it would be very interesting to know specifics. Can somebody put one in their front yard? That's pretty spooky. And the high fire pieces. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Bowen.
Thank you.
Lisa, you want to come up and answer those? Whatever, you want to wait till we're done?
Rather wait till we're done and address everything.
Anna?
You already asked my question.
Oh.
Sorry.
Previous Councilmember Carter.
Okay, guys.
Hi, going along with what was just said, I'm concerned for HOAs. My HOA has 368 homes in our HOA, and we take care of our own streets, we take care of everything ourselves. And so we have an architectural committee that approves and disapproves so much of what goes on each property. Do we have that authority still to do what we have been doing in our HOA, or is this mandated upon everybody in the city of Laverne, even HOAs, where, like I said, we take care of everything ourselves. The city, doesn't do anything up there. And along with that, my concern is like, okay, say somebody does want to do another unit on their property, front, back. Are we allowed to charge dues on top of that home too? Because it's per resident, a home. So that would be a big question that could, take an effect too. And because that's more traffic going in and out our gates and on the roads that we pay to repair. So it's just, there's a lot to it that I would love to have another reading, not have it just go through tonight. So there's more discussion on all the areas, because we have quite a few HOAs in the community. So, and there's another one that's going to be going in. So this really takes some thought. There's a lot of questions unanswered because we have it in our CCRs. CCWs.
We had that. Please don't bring it up. Okay, that was a long meeting.
But CCRs, that all garages must be used for vehicles only. So that would change up our CC and ours. That go back to, 1918. So, please, 1980, not 18. We haven't been around that long.
There's plenty to talk, it's okay, Rob.
So, no, okay, so that's my request is please don't close the readings tonight. Let's do another one, give it some more time to think about it and talk about it.
Thank you. No, you had a chance, sorry. Anna, come on up.
She's a good attorney. I went to the planning meeting, she's very good.
We'll keep her.
So when I was at the planning commission meeting, I was telling the planners, I said, if this happens, we're gonna get our rates raised more up there. Because we're in a fire area, and the reason we didn't have those things up there is because I believe the fire department said we have to go through, we had a big fire, I mean, it was just like, you know, we've seen before up there. And things started catching on fire, they have to go through ADUs, they have to get through to our houses and everything else. So, like I told you before, the state is out of their mind, okay? They don't care. And they said, well, it shouldn't affect your insurance. And I'm thinking, of course it is. Those insurance companies, you work for an insurance company, they're up there looking all the time to see what's going on. And my insurance, I just got a letter. My insurance was $1,800 a year last year. It just went up to $4,750. So I'm looking at, is the state looking at these changes? I mean, is the insurance company looking at these changes that the state's making? I mean, that's a bit, and I'm trying to find cheap insurance, and it's almost impossible. I've got all kinds of things out there. But that's a big jump. So something happened. I don't know what happened. But anyways, yeah, the attorney told us you can build an ADU in front of your house. This city is gonna look like a junkyard. And I know you guys can't do anything because the state is just basically telling you if you don't do it, you're gonna get sued. Blackmail. That's all it is, blackmail. And I don't know what the heck we're gonna do because I'm very upset. That's all I'm gonna say.
Thank you, Anna. Anita, Ms. Beauchamp. Councilmember Johnson and myself were at the Senator Rubio's, along with Councilmember Lau. We were with Ricardo Laura, and he's our insurance commissioner, and they said that if there's an issue, especially in our areas where they're canceling policy, especially where we all live up there in the hills, that they wanted to review that. So I think it's important, maybe we'll have our city manager contact them and then put it up on our website, because this is important, because it is happening and it's not fair. And they said that they would really look at it, right, Mr. Johnson?
That's correct, but the insurance company, or the insurance commissioner would also be the one that would have to authorize those rates to go into effect. So if the rates have gone up, he's already seen it.
But they can still review it though, and see, and see if there's other areas that they could get insurance from too, is what they said, so.
And the insurance of last resort is the California Fair Plan, which only provides basic coverage. And you can get a wraparound policy that adds the liability and theft coverage that the Fair Plan does not offer. But it is expensive still.
Sorry, Ms. Beauchamp.
And that doesn't take away your 3 minutes.
No, you have 1 minute.
No. Luckily for you, it's not 1 minute. Danita Beauchamp, 2516 Amherst Street. My concern about this issue is the parking. I know that they're exempt from having to do a traffic study and all other CEQA, but what is that going to do for the ordinances for parking? Because right now, City of Laverne requires an overnight permit to park between 2 and 5 or 2 and 6, I believe. So are there going to be provisions made for these areas that are going to be allowing the ADUs or JADUs, or is it going to be a complete overhaul of parking ordinances for the entire city? That's my question to the council and the city manager. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Beauchamp. Anyone else? With that, we'll close public comment. Ms. Krantz, can you come up and give us, enlighten us, or upset us? I don't know what you want.
A little bit of both.
I'm very glad Anna recognized that I'm just the messenger. And I appreciate that, because the state does continue to put onerous requirements on the cities, and basically says if you don't have a compliant ordinance, then then the state provisions apply. So we're trying to get the city into compliance. I'm going to have Gabriel address the parking question.
Can you just wrap that back a little bit? I think it's important what you just said is that if the compliance with state or the state mandate, if we don't put this ordinance in place, then basically the state takes over and their criteria is even worse.
There's basically nothing in 65852.2. So it's very general and in some cases more generous provisions than what the city has attempted to craft, what we've attempted to do. So they don't go away because you don't adopt an ADU ordinance. This isn't a permissive thing. The city has to comply with it, and we have to have a ordinance that meets the state requirements. And as I said, every year there's something new. Gabriel's going to talk about the parking first, and then I'll go back and address the other issues because he's more familiar with that.
Welcome back.
Sure. So to address some of the main questions about parking, there are a number of sections, regulations in our code that regulates parking for ADUs, specifically if the ADU is
Make sure you're speaking into the mic so that
if the ADU is within half mile of a transit stop, we cannot require them to put in any type of parking. We could recommend it, but we can't require it. And so in order to address those issues of on-street parking for ADU, the police department, specifically parking enforcement, does not issue parking overnight permits for ADU specifically. So if someone were to present a project to us where they're not required to have parking, we do let them know that if they were to park on the street, they may be liable to a citation for our parking enforcement. So we have that to address that area. But mainly, the main consideration is that when you're doing the mandatory provisions from the state, which is an 800 square foot ADU, 4-foot side and rear setbacks, and no bigger than 16 feet, or the other height regulations I mentioned before, they wouldn't, and within half mile, they would be exempt from parking requirements. So it's something that we keep a lookout for when we're doing development applications. We want to make sure that people are considering parking when they're addressing their projects with us. But again, we can only recommend these issues, and we can only let them know and inform them of the viability when it comes to on-street parking.
Specifically, what are the requirements for getting a City of Laverne overnight parking sticker? Isn't it like the number of registered vehicles at an address, or?
I believe, yes, that's how it is, but when they do go to obtain a parking, an overnight permit, they would have to indicate to the police department that they do have ADU. We do have specific addressing for ADU, so it's going to be notified to the parking enforcement that that specific unit that they're going to be utilizing cannot apply for that overnight permit. The house itself can, or the primary residence itself can, but the ADU is not permitted for that.
And does our current ordinances distinguish then between the actual lot and the primary and secondary units?
So I will say that our current ordinance doesn't have anything that specifically relates to that for on-street parking, but it is definitely something that if the council wanted to move forward, we could add that into it. This is mainly a parking enforcement regulation from the police department. It's mainly on their end. But like I said, we could definitely include it into our ordinance to address that for you guys.
So I'm looking at under parking sections, the exemptions. So where it says no parking shall be required if any of the following conditions apply. And one of the conditions is if there's a car share vehicle located within one block. So I guess how do you enforce that? So if they have a car, is the assumption that because there's a car share vehicle, that place or whatnot, that they're going to park there and not at the park?
I was just going to say, yeah, that would be correct. The assumption would be that they would be parking.
Let me see. And so I guess similarly too, where it says if it's located within 1/2 mile walking distance of a public transit stop, those are the exceptions, right?
The idea is that if you're in those locations, then you don't need a car.
Correct.
So a car share, they kind of phased out. Car shares were those things where somebody would leave a car somewhere and you could go and use it. And they were popular for a while in certain areas. I know
Boston
LA.
had them.
I tried it, like I think around El Segundo for a while in a couple of South Bay cities, and they just, nobody wanted to deal with them because they wound up just being left and nobody would move them, and it started messing up with street sweeping. So I don't think, that one really isn't even applicable in Laverne because I don't think you have any car share facilities.
Okay, so then
like
similarly to that, where it says if an accessory dwelling unit is located within 1/2 mile walking distance, the assumption is that you don't need a car, but then how do you enforce that? I mean, just because you say you're within, you know, this distance of a public transit stop, it doesn't mean that you automatically don't have a car. We still live in Southern California. So how's that?
They can have a car, they just have to figure out where to store it.
Where else to put it,
Where
not
else to
there.
put it.
Okay.
And that's why Gabriel indicates staff recommends to people, you can't require you in this case to have a parking space, but
We won't give you a parking.
where are you gonna,
Right.
where are you gonna put it if you don't think about planning that way?
So is there something in like the disclosure? So let's say someone's renting out the ADU, is that part of the disclosures that we would require of the owner renting out the ADU to advise, hey, you can move in here, but you have no place to park? Is that something that we can, because I would be concerned about, you know, someone building an ADU and saying, I'm gonna rent this out for, you know, to make passive income, whatever. But then not telling the renter or making them aware of, you know, that's great, you have a space to live, but you have nowhere to park your car, figure it out. I mean, is there a way to make that a mandatory inclusion if you're gonna rent out the place that you have to disclose that?
We could work that into the ordinance.
Okay. I mean, I would just like to be transparent for people because I think I don't want anybody to be caught up like, oh great, I found this great place to live that's only gonna charge me X amount in rent, and then find out that, where am I gonna park? That's a whole nother problem for that person or persons.
And I did just want to quickly mention that when staff is reviewing these applications, we do determine via our GIS software whether or not a property is located within 1/2 mile of the transit stop. So if somebody were to propose it and say north of baseline, typically that area is outside of that region, so our GIS software will let us know whether or not this specific section would apply towards that specific application.
But I think also on these, like we're pointing out, some of these things that are in there that should be in there that are not applicable, remove them. They need to be removed. Because we don't want to go back to this. Say, oh yeah, we signed this, and then we all leave, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, right here. Oh, great, back again. Anyway.
I don't want to talk about
it. She's done with that.
You didn't drop the mic though, you didn't go with it.
I would assume that one could be taken out because I don't think car shares are coming back.
Okay.
Unless you live in Los Angeles.
I meant into Laverne.
I agree.
So to the other issues, on HOAs, our ordinance does not impact HOAs directly. However, state law was amended a number of years ago to provide that HOAs cannot prohibit ADUs. I haven't kept up with that. I think there's that if somebody wants to convert a garage, I think they have to allow it under an HOA. Similarly, our ordinance does not address whether or not the HOA can charge an additional fee. That would be, I would assume, a provision of, you know, the members, the homeowners, revising their bylaws to figure out what they want to do. So we don't address that as a city. The mandatory units and putting them in a front yard. So Government Code Section 65852.2 subsection E talks about no matter what, you have to allow units of 800 square feet as long as they are 4 feet setback side and rear. When this statute first came out, I think we assumed rationally as city attorney group that meant that you still couldn't put them if we prohibit them in a very high fire hazard zone, or you still couldn't put them in the front yard if we said, no, they don't go in the front yard. And the legislation was amended and HCD made it clear, you're wrong. If somebody wants to come in with 800 square feet, they can drop it anywhere without any requirements whatsoever. They don't have to meet architecture, they don't have to meet roof pitch. They only have to be 4 feet away from the rear and the side yard setbacks and meet the new height requirements. That's why cities go above 800 square feet, because hopefully somebody will come in with 1,000 square feet, put it in the back and meet the city standards. The same thing with the very high fire hazard zone. HCD came out and said, nope, you can't prohibit the 800 square feet in the very high fire hazard severity zones. Other cities who had tried to prohibit them, the hill cities out down in Palos Verdes, said, no, we're not going to allow them in the VH zones. And HCD sent enforcement letters saying, no, it's not just the 800 square feet. You just can't prohibit them there unless you have empirical, objective information as to why you can't allow them, why they can't be there. One example I have is City of Bradbury has like 3 streets that are below 18 feet in width. You actually cannot get a fire truck going up and a car coming down. Those 3 streets don't allow the ADUs, they don't allow the mandatory, and in our opinion, and they don't allow any other types of accessory dwelling units up there. You can't get a guest house up there, whatever other additional units were up there. Because one of the things HCD will look at is they'll say to you, well, you're going to prohibit an ADU, but you're going to allow a guest house? Or you're going to allow another big development up there? So that's why we took it out of the very high fire hazard severity zone. I would urge everybody to reach out to your legislators. I think it's crazy, and this is a personal editorial position, but let's remember that you can, if there's a house up there that was built before fire sprinklers were a requirement, you can't require the ADU to have fire sprinklers. If the house was, and I can't remember what year fire sprinklers became mandatory. But if there are older homes up there, you can't make those ADUs have fire sprinklers. You'd be stupid not to, I think, to do it, but that's it. So front yards, yes. HOAs, we don't regulate them, but there was a state law saying they couldn't prohibit them. We talked about the parking, the fees. Did I miss anything?
No, I think it was the garages, also the garages, yes, absolutely.
Well, garage, yes, garage.
That's in the letter, that's conversions.
Right, right. State law was specifically amended to say both ADUs and JADUs go into the, can go into a garage conversion.
So I got a question, and I get all that, but about the HOAs, I believe that they have to have some sort of imperial objective reason, if we can get creative on that regarding the HOAs and having their authority to be able to not prevent, but what is the term, imperial objective reason as to why not put a 800 square foot ADU smack dab in front of somebody's residence, right? And that's a problem. Yeah. And so what I would like to see is that I would like to see for us here to come back and get a little more in depth on that, and especially there's 5 communities there, 5 that have HOAs, and so.
Well, we're not. Go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, if I could address this, we don't control what HOAs can or can't do.
Sure.
And we can't do that through our code.
Okay.
That's a matter of state law. So the state law requires whatever it requires from HOAs to approve or not approve, but that isn't within our jurisdiction or our authority. So the answer to the question is, if you have a problem with that as HOA members, that's really you need to call your legislator, because that should be, yeah. She was just here, Susan Rubio. That will, you know, they're the ones who can control what is in these laws and what isn't in these laws. Unfortunately, we can't.
For clarification, if somebody came into planning that lives in an HOA, wants to put in an ADU, there's nothing that we can do that's going to prevent that.
Not if it complies, not
if it complies.
No, not if they meet all the requirements of the ADU and the lot size and the setback.
Right.
Okay. Just thinking about this unit in the front type of deal, that's the way Laverne was originally developed. People would buy a lot, they'd build a small house in the back, and then later build their home in the front. Back in the early 1900s. That's the way Laverne was built.
Actually, I have a few of those, you know, which are duplexes, but again, the setbacks are wide, although my one rental is a 5 foot between the two, well, 8 foot between the two properties, but setbacks on the sides are very minimal. That was pre, you know, so. Any other questions? You got a comment? Good.
Yeah, I don't have questions. Thank you so much. Great presentation. Comment though, I remember when I first got on this council, we really talked about ADUs, and then brought in was because of the extreme fire hazard that they could not be put on there. 2 years later, the state changes it, comes back, and this comes and bore down. Only 2 years later, and where any homes north of baseline was exempt from any ADUs. In homes south of baseline, they were not. What comes to say in another 2 years, then all your CCRs go away because the state is doing that. This isn't the city. This isn't. We would fight against this if we could, but we stand where we had a senator here tonight talking about local control and trying to bring back the local control. We have a place that I know people are going to talk about later tonight too, is a place where local control is not, it's taken away. And this right here, this conversation having, is a great conversation to have, because it shows what we can do and what we can't and what we need to get back. And we need to bring that power back so that you have the power to voice your concerns. Right now, your power to voice your concerns, we're with you on those concerns, but we don't have that power either. People hide behind larger states, 5 supervisors for all of LA County. Representation is not there. The local control representation, where you can talk to us, knock on our doors, call us on the phone, we're here. But when we don't have that power, we got to get that power back for your districts, for the stuff too. And so that's my comments there. Can we, I know the recommendation is to waive further reading. Why would we have that?
That's a normal provision when we approve an ordinance. Otherwise, we are required to read it out loud from top to bottom. The whole thing.
Okay, so it's not waiving
Wait.
for a second reading.
Wait a minute. Councilmember Lau wanted a provision added.
Yes.
So I don't know that we can introduce it tonight. I need a break to look at where we would put that provision in. I can probably figure it out in about 5 minutes, and we could introduce it with that amendment.
Yeah, I think that would be prudent if we could do that tonight.
Yeah.
And then if we're going to take out the car share vehicle, that would be subsection E of subsection 6.
Actually, I'm going to
Are we on a time
recommend,
crunch?
well,
Yes.
Actually, I'm going to recommend you don't take out the mandatory language, because there are people at HCD right now who are going through ordinances and they are checking boxes And if you don't have that provision, as ridiculous as it seems,
They may kick it out.
you're gonna come back, they're gonna come back because we have to send our ordinance up to them. And they're going to say, you don't comply with state law. So even though it's meaningless and it's clutter, in thinking about this in the past 5 minutes, I'd recommend keeping it in.
I think that would be prudent.
That's where I'll go.
So you said you need 5 minutes just to.
To figure if I have 5 minutes to just look through the ordinance, we can take a break as to where to put in the language. I'd say go to the next hearing, but that is the SB 9, and I need that.
We want to talk a little more about this.
I know, talk with tonight.
Go ahead, that's where I'll go.
Can you work on that language while they?
Yeah, but that's what I was just gonna ask, like, so can we go to the next item, work on that, and bring it back?
She has SB 9 next time, so.
Oh, just kidding. Well, can we skip to the last item then? We do have another item after the SB 9.
We could skip to the chamber.
We can skip to the other matters, which there's 2 items under that, the professional services agreement, financial auditing, and then the chamber agreement, so.
Why don't we do that? So do I need to close this, or just, we're just going to open it, we're going to
We'll
move
just,
to
table
it?
No, we'll continue the public hearing to after the other matters.
Okay, so we are going to move
Item 16.
to other matters, yes. Okay, we have 2 other matters. The first is the draft partnership agreement for national auditing services, resolution number 23-26. Mr. Gomer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to call up Christy Lopez for this item. Just to kind of preface before she gets up here, we have had our current external auditor for more than 5 years, and we went out for an RFP to solicit because that's a good practice, and we had 3 people come in. We rated them. And I'm going to let Christy Lopez finish.
I like her thoughts. Good evening, Finance Director Lopez. It's all yours.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Tonight I'm here with a report recommending a professional agreement with Damien Associates for audit services for the fiscal years of 2023 through 2027. The city's current auditors have audited the city's financials since 2011 as a result of 2 formal bid processes. In March of 2023, the city issued a request for proposals soliciting audited services. The city received 3 bids from 3 qualified firms, including the city's current firm. Best practices, as Ken mentioned, by the Government Finance Officers Association recommends a change in audit services every 5 years. So while our current firm is the lowest cost by a small amount, the recommended firm, Damien Associates, demonstrated a competitive fee structure and is only slightly higher, and changing firms would meet the recommended best practices. One thing I do want to add is this year, as recommended by Ken, we have added into our audit proposal some agreed upon procedures. So what that would do is every year we would choose 2 agreed upon procedures. We have some listed out. One would be to look at contracts, see how the contract was from beginning to end, how it was done, look at credit cards. So identify a couple areas that we may need some additional just review over. And so we have included that in our current proposal. So it is recommended that the City Council authorize the City Manager to execute an agreement with Damien Associates, which will be a 5-year agreement, and adopt a resolution for this agreement. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Director Lopez. Any questions for Finance Director Lopez?
As far as a 5-year contract, is there any special reason why it's a 5-year contract?
That is the typical, is 5 years. That's what's best practices. I will say that the initial year when you change auditors, it is very taxing. So I'm not super excited about it, but I understand it's necessary. Because obviously they have no knowledge of the city, so they have to look at every single individual thing. They have no data, we're gonna have to scan everything. So really changing every 5 years, just for the work that's involved, I think is why it's a best practice. And so that's what we're continuing, or we're recommending.
Thank you. Any other questions before we go to public comment? We'll go ahead to public comment. We're going to open up public comment. Anybody wish to speak on this matter? With that, we'll close public comment, bring it back up to the dais. Anybody wish to speak on this, council?
I just applaud Christy and Mr. Gomer for going out and really looking at this. Appreciate the hard work, know how hard it's going to be. Also know that, everybody's gone, all the auditors gone on Zoom, and you have to upload everything to them now, instead of really them coming in and just showing them the work. It's a lot more work for your department. Appreciate the work that you guys are doing.
Mayor Pro Tem Crosby, any other comments? No? Councilman Johnson.
I applaud us going out for these contracts, for all of our professional contracts, whether it be this or trash services or any of the others. I know trash, we had a 10-year contract, and it seems ridiculously long, but we have what we have. And I'm glad that we're doing this. Thank you.
Yeah, just thank you, Christy. I owe you Rothy's.
Thank you.
How can I top that one?
Rockies?
I also want to echo my council members and Mayor Pro Tem that I do like reviewing contracts, as Finance Director Lopez knows, and also Mr. Gomer, that it's important that we review our contracts, making sure that we are getting our, as they say in the old school, the best cluck for your buck. And I think it's important that we review that. And I think you like it, don't you? What the heck is it? It is. No, cluck for your buck. Kentucky Fried Chicken, come on, I'm the guy. But no, seriously, I appreciate that. And there are other things that we're going to be, I know Mr. Gomer and yourself are going to review. We're going to be reviewing more contracts, and I really appreciate the staff time. And I know it's going to be a transition, but it's time to move on and try someone new, and just make sure that we are doing our due diligence on our funds. So thank you very much. With that, I will accept the motion.
Move to approve?
Second.
That was really hard. Oh, please. She wanted to read the whole thing.
That item was approved 5-0.
Mr. Mayor, I believe we're ready to return to the public hearing.
Oh, we're gonna, let's
Deputy Attorney Pratt. Girl?
You don't want to finish this?
Well, we're
Okay.
paying her to be here.
Oh, okay, sorry. Thank you. We will go back to our item.
Okay, well, we're suggesting adding to subsection I-6, which was the parking section, a new subsection G, which would say if a parking space is not required, then the owner of the unit shall be required to disclose that fact in any rental agreement.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any more comments from the dais?
With that change, we're able to vote on the item tonight.
Yes, we can move forward with introduction and by title only and waiver for the reading. That would be the introduction, and we'll come back for adoption.
I'm going to echo what Mayor Pro Tem Crosby said. We are losing control of our communities. And with between CEQA and our state mandating rapid rehousing, we need to kind of gather now and talk to our higher electeds now as a community. I know there's other communities with, as Mr. Crosby had mentioned, the 740 Foothill, things like that, and with our residents, it's trying to dismantle our beautiful communities. And I know it's tough, but I think at this point, like a lot of the laws that come about, we find out after a while, these are really bad. We're suffering from that. I think we need to, as Councilmember Mayor Pro Tem Crosby said, We need to talk to our senators, our Congress people. We need to talk to our assembly members that it's time to gain back control to our communities, because otherwise, as Ms. Anderson stated, we could destroy our communities, and that's not what we want to do. We all moved into our communities because we love them. We love our houses. We like the big lots. ADUs, things like that, I think is beneficial in a lot of cases because it does serve a purpose. But it serves a purpose for the right place at the right time and where it goes. And I think that's the most important thing. So with that, Mr. Johnson, you have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second?
I'll second.
Vote please.
Mr. Mayor?
Oh, wait. We have to read this. We have to read the title first. Sorry.
Kidding.
He was kidding. Didn't mean it. Okay.
It's an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Laverne, California, amending the zoning provisions of the Laverne Municipal Code relating to accessory dwelling units and junior accessory dwelling units in accordance with state law.
I also want to thank our planning commission for putting this forward to us. I know it wasn't an easy one, but thank them and all the staff for their time. This is a very, very tough one. Thank you. Second.
Second.
Vote please. Okay.
And that motion carried 4-1 with Councilmember Castro-Figuita presenting.
Very good. We move on to SB9. Mr. Gilmer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At this time, I'd like to call forward Parker Stringfellow from our Community Development Department to provide the staff report on this item.
Good evening, mayors and city council members. On September 16, 2021, Governor Newsom signed Senate Bill 9, SB 9, into law, which became effective on January 1st, 2022. SB 9 adds 2 sections to the government code relating to the development of residential housing. The 2 sections require that local agencies ministerially approve a housing development of no more than 2 residential units and or a parcel map for an urban lot split when both meet certain requirements. So tonight we are doing a first reading on ordinance number 1117, which would establish the objective development standards for SB 9 2-unit and urban lot split developments in the city of Laverne. Study sessions were held last year in 2022 with both the Planning Commission and the City Council to summarize SB 9 and to introduce the standard state requirements. The next few slides of the presentation are to remind council members who were sitting last year of the basics of SB 9 and to give new council members a brief introduction to the legislation. Just for the council's information, as of this evening, the Community Development Department has received and approved 2 applications for SB 9 developments in Laverne, 1 last year and 1 this year. So state law allows cities to impose objective standards on proposed SB 9 projects, provided that those standards do not preclude at least 2 residential units of at least 800 square feet from being constructed or existing on the lot or lots in question. During the study session last year, council provided direction and comments to staff on the desired zoning, subdivision, and design standards that would govern these developments in the city via the adoption of a future ordinance.
It's over the ADU thing.
So this slide is kind of a catch-all, highlights the basic state standard requirements that apply for SB 9 projects. These standards have not changed since the study session last year. So just to quickly go over some of the SB 9 exclusion areas that apply in the city are open space properties, which are essentially lands identified for conservation, habitat for protected species, or lands under conservation easement. Also excluded are parcels within a historic district on the state historic resources inventory and designated as a city landmark or historic property pursuant to city ordinance. There are currently approximately 25 Mills properties in the city where SB9 development would be inherently restricted because of that. Also excluded are properties that rent to affordable income levels, are subject to rent control, or have been occupied by a renter in the last 3 years, and these cannot be altered or demolished. Some of the key provisions are that 2 units must be allowed of at least 800 square feet each if asked for, and lot splits of a difference of no greater than 60 to 40% in terms of sizing must also be allowed. And to clarify, each parcel can only be split once. ADUs can also be built on 2-unit lots, but not on lots that utilize the lot split provisions of SB9. So again, to kind of walk you through that, a maximum of 3 residential units, which would be 2 primary unit SB9 units, and an ADU would be allowed on a lot that is not split under SB9, and no more than 4 residential units would be allowed on a single-family residential zone lot, 2 primary SB9 units on each. No ADUs would be allowable in that situation. Cities can require minimum 4-foot setbacks from property lines. 1 parking space per unit can be required on the lot unless the parcel is located within 1/2 mile walking distance of a high-quality transit corridor, similar to the ADU one that we just reviewed. And short-term rental properties are not allowed on SB9 development properties, and the owner must intend to occupy the property for at least 3 years. And the owner cannot split adjacent parcels or work in concert with someone who would split an adjacent parcel. One thing that's also not listed on there specifically, denials. SB9 does provide that the building official may deny an SB9 project based on a preponderance of evidence, which is more than 50%, that the proposed housing development or lot split would have a specific adverse impact on public health and safety or the physical environment, and where there is no feasible mitigation. The adverse impact means a significant, quantifiable, direct, and unavoidable impact based on objective standards. Next. The council members last year may recognize this visual. It is of a random block in the city of Laverne and is representative only for the purposes of demonstrating how SB9 might apply to these properties. So as a quick review, the area that's blocked out in red in the center of those properties represents the range of space where an applicant may split the lot according to the minimum lot size requirements under SB9. The lots that contain an X above the house indicate that major alteration or demolition of the existing structure must occur if an applicant were to propose a lot split. And because of those limitations, the SB9 lot splits are mostly not feasible for that property. However, 2-unit developments could possibly be approved, as well as ADUs if the requirements are met. The lots containing a question mark are those where the existing structures are located such that the lot split could be feasible depending on where they split and if it meets the minimum requirements, of course. And these lot splits could also open up the way for 2-unit development as well. Again, this visual is representative only, and it's here to convey that SB9 projects will be considered on a case-by-case basis, since every property is different from every other one. So therefore, the success that applicants may have when applying SB9 provisions to their properties vary widely and will be carefully considered by staff when submitted for review. Based on the feedback received from council during the study session last year, staff has created this listed order of prioritized standards. So the idea behind this list is to apply as many objective development standards as possible to SB9 projects and preserve current Laverne's zoning standards as much as possible while still allowing for SB9 development that the state requires us to allow. In any given project proposal, the city may not be able to apply all of the standards listed, and therefore would waive the standards that don't allow the 2 units, the minimum 800 square foot units, to be built if they are requested. The first standard the city would waive on this list would be the 10-foot minimum lot frontage to a public right-of-way, which would either be a street or an alleyway. If the city waived this requirement, it could still require an access easement through the lot with direct access to provide access for the newly created lot. The last standard that the city would want to waive would be the last one on the list, the front yard setback, as required by the underlying zone, as this objective standard is very important to maintaining the look and feel of Laverne's single-family residential zones. Based on the guidance from City Legal Counsel, in similarity to the ADU ordinance update, staff is no longer proposing to restrict SB9 development in the very high fire severity zone, since building codes work to mitigate fire concerns. But of course, this means that any proposed project in the north part of the city would still be reviewed against the basic standards of SB9, and of course, Laverne's SB9 ordinance as it were adopted to determine the feasibility of approval. Also, this ordinance is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act pursuant to the specific provisions of SB9, which provides that an ordinance adopted to that statute is not subject to the California Environmental Quality Act. No further environmental review is required at this time. So the Planning Commission reviewed the draft SB9 ordinance at their duly noticed meeting held on April 26, 2023, and adopted resolution number 1302, which recommended that the City Council review and approve the draft ordinance. So therefore, staff and the Planning Commission recommend that the City Council should introduce by title only and waive further reading of Ordinance 1117, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Laverne, modifying Title 16 and Title 18 of the Laverne Municipal Code to implement the provisions of Senate Bill 9 relating to the creation of urban lot splits and to residential unit development, and making a determination that the adoption of the ordinance is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act. This concludes the report, and myself and of course Deputy City Attorney Lisa Kranitz are here for any questions.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions for staff on this one until we can open public hearing? Mr. Johnson.
What happens if we do not approve this?
Same as the ADU, I'll have Lisa explain.
Yeah. It's the same, state law applies regardless. And then you don't have your development standards, but you have to allow up to 4 units per the original lot.
But we have development standards.
If you don't have an SB9 ordinance,
Specific to that.
then just come in.
They will let you build
Yes,
whatever.
can we just say ditto from the last one?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, but
And
I
all
mean,
the stuff we said.
I'm not cool with that. I mean, we need to have some sort of control. There's got to be something. I mean, I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but I'm just saying that, you know, there's no legal provision that you can put on there to give some sort of control to the citizens or to those in the HOAs or anything. I mean,
Well,
something dead in the water.
Actually, what we have
that's
in
all I
here
have
is
to
the
say.
maximum flexibility that we are allowed. If we don't adopt this ordinance with the specific language that controls as much as we can control,
Right.
that it defaults to the state and we have no control.
I will say for SB9s right now, HOAs still have control. Who knows, in 2 years, what they're going to do, but right now an HOA could prohibit SB9 lot development.
Lot split and the ADUs.
And thank you for the graphic, the 40-60 piece on the lot that too. It could only be split, so if your home goes across that 40-60 line, you cannot split your property.
Start down, you only, then you have a 10-foot rule, right? All right, so straight 10 feet, then you can build? Is that what I read?
Well, it's 10 feet frontage minimum, so that if it's a flat lot, it creates a flat lot.
Correct, yeah, so the state law allows us to require, allows us to require a 10-foot direct access, which is what staff would like to require. However, in places where that's not feasible, the state does allow us to require at least the access easement. So again, the idea behind wanting to require the 10-foot actual, like, so that the lot would look like a flag lot, would be to kind of fix some of those messy issues where, you know, property passes from one owner to another and access easements are less understood at that point, or not very well disclosed to, you know, both owners of both units. So that's the idea behind that access requirement.
And no environmental impact is, so it's exempt, you don't have to have that, so it doesn't matter wildlife, doesn't matter anything.
Well, if it falls within some of the exclusions.
There'll be fishing game and some other ones.
Yeah, so conservation.
Yeah, there's a
open
list of those
space
properties. So
properties.
it has criteria, it's just state mandated.
Those probably aren't lots that would be subdivided because you probably don't have any development on them to begin with.
So that's under B4, and then, so in that section, but, a couple of questions, or a reminder, I guess, that I know that staff, alluded to at the beginning, but just to refresh everyone's recollection, this did come before council last year, and because of what you're talking about, you know, in what ways can we wrest control in order to make this, I don't want to say difficult, because that's not, but to make sure that we have as much control as possible under the paradigm that we're operating under, is exactly why we prioritize the items that we prioritize. So if you look at the list that was on the slide, that was the direction of council to say, how do we make sure that we have as much control as possible in saying what can or can't go in? So that was just my first point. My second one, similar to the last one that we just did, under section C7, so where it talks about parking space, can we just insert the same language that if one of the parcels is, you know, if you do split it and you rent one, because you have to be a primary resident in the other one, if you're gonna rent the other one, that you need to disclose that?
Yes.
It's on page 171, at least in my packets, the packet, page is 171.
Yeah, under the provisions of the code, that splitting the lot would still require at least one space per unit. But I think what you're talking about is if there is also an ADU.
It says this does not apply in either of the following instances. If the parcel is located within 1/2 mile,
Right.
blah, 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 car share vehicle, so if we can just add
Right,
the same language.
correct. We can do that.
Hi.
So in your subsection.
So it
We're
would be,
comparing our draft.
it would be C7 sub C.
Yeah.
Right there.
Well,
The
There's
item B.
171.
Yeah,
page
seven,
number
yeah,
171.
it's 171, and it's the second one, the item B, correct? And make,
Oh, on the sheet,
Yeah, it is.
it's
so we'd go A, B, and then C would be the added, and Councilman Raz asking. So
that's under C.
Correct, so that one would be.
Okay, right.
I, we have 2 active lot splits, is that correct? 2 permits.
One, yes. Yes, so two, oh yeah, only 2 have been, applications have been submitted, and both of them have been approved at this point. I believe Gabe final his approval just recently. I think
Just a general idea, where in Laverne?
Both of them are, one's on kind of the west side, south of the 210. And Gabe
One
is
is
in-
on,
No.
the second
I don't
one
want,
is,
I just want generalizations.
the second one is located down south of the city along Third Street.
Obviously, the lots are big enough to be able to do that.
Correct.
And obviously pass the muster of what you guys, the criteria is that we're using right now that we, if we adopt tonight.
Yeah, and we're using the state requirements right now since we don't have an ordinance in place.
Very good. Well, I think we should, go ahead.
I
Lisa.
just want to say, I think across the board, cities have not seen the SB 9 applications that were originally feared and developed.
Well, I think we have a couple things here too. We have our economy, but also construction costs have gone off the charts. And like, it takes a large undertaking to do that. I don't care what you do, especially you have to demolish and do the other things. So, and like I said, construction is 50-60%, if not 100% more than it used to be. So that was our biggest concern when we were discussing was, okay, reality. When Director Scheer was there, I said, let's look at reality here. We don't like it. It's something we need to fight for at some time again to say, let's throttle back this, trying to destroy the complexity and the makeup of our neighborhoods. But at the end of the day, it was how many? And it was like, probably not a lot, but many, but anyway. Okay, I think we should probably stop and open up public hearing. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. At this point, we'll open up public hearing. Anybody want to speak on this item? With that, we'll close public hearing and we'll bring it back up to the dais. Any other final comments before we move on this motion? I just want to tell staff, thank you very much. I know this is one of those, it's been a number of years. I appreciate all your hard work. But we, at your due diligence, we watch closely on these items, and we've got some things in place, which is probably a very good thing, and we're going to modify that one. We can modify that one and accept that motion tonight for further reading. Is that correct?
Yes.
No further discussion. Make a motion.
The title of the ordinance, ordinance 1117, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Laverne, County of Los Angeles, State of California, modifying Title 16 subdivisions and Title 18 zoning of the Laverne Municipal Code to implement the provisions of Senate Bill 9 relating to the creation of urban lot splits and 2 residential unit development and making a determination that the adoption of the ordinance is exempt from support.
Motion.
Motion to approve as amended?
Second.
I'll second.
Vote, please.
That motion carried 5-0.
Very good. Thank you, staff. Now we move to public comment. No, I'm just kidding.
So funny.
Certainly, we love you. Now move to their, let's see, we move to, which is
17.
We move on to the second matter, which is a draft partnership agreement with Laverne Chamber of Commerce. Mr. Domer.
Thank you. I'd like to call up Leah from the Chamber of Commerce to provide the staff report on this item.
Good evening. For the 2022-2023 city partnership agreement, the Chamber has submitted all reports and met all 4 conditions as set and required by the deadlines. The contract between this year and last year has not changed significantly. It was added last year that the Chamber will be responsible for the candidates forum this year, as well as including some other economic development items that the Chamber does on a regular basis. So highlights from this past year, we again hosted our annual Taste of Laverne and joined that with the Restaurant Week. We had over 20 restaurants participated. Save the date, October 18th, 2024 for next year. We sponsored the Small Business Saturday, a raffle event. It produced over $20,000 in single day sales. We awarded participants $500 in Shop Laverne gift cards, encouraging them to go back and shop Laverne. We held our 4th annual Excellence in Laverne Business of the Year Award and recognized 5 outstanding businesses. Participated in the 4th of July parade with our Shop Laverne messaging, and this year we also encouraged people to participate in our online Best of Laverne voting. We had over 4,000 voters, 120,000 votes cast, and 75 categories recognized as the best in Laverne. And the goal of that program was to encourage exploration and summer shopping. Our Chamber ambassadors welcomed 39 non-home-based businesses, new businesses in Laverne, and hand-delivered welcome packets. Workforce development program this year, we actually made some very significant changes, and after several years of planning, we're able to implement them. So we replaced our Principal for a Day, which was a wonderful feel-good event, but we were working with the school district in order to perform more meaningful events. So we hosted our inaugural middle school career fair. We invited local businesses to participate with our 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. And it was honestly one of the most fun days I have ever had in this position. I had the best conversation with a 6th grader whose goal is to be a engineer, the one that pays the most. He expects to make $50 to $100 an hour and work 5 to 6 hours a week. He's got a plan.
Is he hiring?
fantastic opportunity to really reach these kids at that age as they start planning for their careers in the future. We partnered with the San Dimas Chamber and the Bonita Unified School District, and we partnered with 18 businesses in our community to work directly with their career and technical education pathway programs. The teachers were there, the businesses were there for the teachers to ask specifically about curriculum goals and any specific certification needs, so that our high school students straight out of high school would be able to start on these different career paths. So that's a program going forward, and as first year implementing these, it was fantastic, and we couldn't have hoped for better outcomes. This Thursday is our 20th annual Teacher of the Year Awards. 13 exceptional teachers. You can't be there, it's Thursday. You're at school. Sorry. I know, right? This year, one of our new partners, IKEA of Covina, has donated their bags that we get to use to hold all the...
Just say a car.
No, IKEA. So for the generous donations for all the teacher goodie bags. And we were able to award 7 scholarships this year, totaling $35,000 to 23 graduating seniors. All funds were raised through donations from over 200 chamber partners. We have awarded and raised over $10,000 since the program's inception in 2019. We hosted our annual community yard sale. I will be sending my report to Lisa O'Brien, but initial looked like 9.4 tons of waste was diverted from landfills. This year we also added the e-waste recycling, and I'm waiting for numbers from him. The event did close at 3 p.m. or at 1 p.m. And at 3 p.m. as I was driving to Stater Brothers to get ice for Wine Walk, the truck was still in the parking lot loading up. So I think it was a very successful event, and again, yes. And we also hosted the State of the City address back in person this year for the first time at the University of Laverne Campus Center. Looking forward to next year, possibly including the Bonita Unified School District, State of the District, as well as presentation from University of Laverne incoming president. Fighting COVID-19 completed this year. We received 75 applications. We funded 72 for a total of $709,304. And finally, we've been talking about it since prior to COVID, but we have a date. We will finally be hosting our inaugural Love Laverne Day, May 4th or 11th, 2024. And it is a citywide community volunteer day. So we'll be working with all the businesses, nonprofits, and faith-based organizations in the city to get everybody together for a day of give back. So thank you very much for your time, and I'm open for any questions.
I just want to say that we have a rock star Chamber of Commerce, and you're one of the reasons why. And I really appreciate what you do. There's just, our community is just so embraced around all the things we do. People come from far and wide for our Taste of Laverne, our wine walk, our beer walks, all the things that we do, and all the stuff that you do with the school districts, and it's just incredible. You guys do a fantastic job, and we're very blessed to have a great Chamber of Commerce. And I want to thank our 2 council members that are also for the Chamber of Commerce, the review committee, which is Councilmember Johnson and Councilmember Lau. Nice job. But really, you guys do a great job, and it's just being a small business owner. I know that Councilmember Johnson also small business owners. It's the backbone of our community. You do a really good job to route those people together, to join the chamber, and to have our openings and everything else. You just do a fantastic job. I really appreciate that. You and your staff and Juan, and just a great job. Anyway, I'm sorry guys.
No, I'm with you, Mayor. And then from what I've seen in the past to where we're at now, it just gets better and better every year. Especially the wine walk and the beer walk, both my favorite. And also, not to mention the time, I really liked the time we had all the restaurants at the hangar.
Taste of
Laverne, and it was just an amazing night that time to get off work, make it just in time. So it can only get better every year, and I just look forward to see what's coming up next. I know you have some great ideas, and, you know, I'll champion anything I can to help this community out. This is our community, we're all in this together, so we can all make it a little better every year. So thank you, whatever I can do to help and support, you know, I cheerlead from everywhere.
I would be remiss too, that one of the, besides our businesses surviving COVID and all of us surviving COVID to a great extent, to keeping our businesses, you know, open and giving them the freedom to do what they need to do with outside dining and stuff. Those business assistance grants between the University of Verne and the Chamber of Commerce were stellar. They went out immediately, within 1 to 2 weeks after the signature, and I know that you had to hunt people down. I know you had to help them with those things, because some of the small businesses just aren't as organized as most. And so if you have a paper napkin for whatever their employees were, that's what it was, but you helped them, and you made it happen for them. And that $10,000 was incredibly important to those businesses. It helped them over the edge to stay surviving, you know, and they're thriving now, so. With that, I think we should go to public comment. Is there any public comment on this item? I want to open up public comment. Thank you, Leah.
Thank you.
They just do such a great job. No one has words to express how wonderful they are. We'll close public comment, bring it out to the dais. Do we have any comments for Leah?
Leah, question, is there any interest in a farmer's market in Laverne?
But wait,
there's
I know in the past, actually it ended just slightly before I arrived in Laverne in 2017, that the Old Town Business Improvement District did have a farmer's market, and it's definitely something I would love to approach to them again. I know there were some significant barriers with who would be invited to participate in that, being competition with the downtown business. So yeah, I mean, if I could find a place to host one that's not Old Town, I'd definitely be pro farmers market.
You know, we were thinking too, because I know the fact was closing down the streets and stuff was kind of an issue. I think the parking lot at University of Laverne worked really well for depending on the times, you know, it might be seasonal, but it was fun when we had it, as Councilmember Lauer were talking about, when they had the rides and all the stuff, and it was really, really cool that we did that. It's just that it has to be viable, you know, because Claremont was extremely successful. And it's
especially with the new Monero Square, so there's
we have a lot of
for it.
space.
No, I just want to thank you, Leah, and your leadership. Each year you've been in here, it's just grown, and we keep adding things, and you keep saying okay, and doing it, and just coming up with stellar ideas as well. So just appreciate your leadership in the chamber and the partnership with the city and the local businesses. Thank you.
And I would echo those sentiments. You know, I think there's so much work behind the scenes that you do, and that, you know, the people you enlist do, that I don't think all of us are cognizant of on a 24 hours a day, 7 days a week kind of basis. But I think the camaraderie that you build too amongst the business owners in this community is really huge, and really trying to find those ways to partner with different people and different events and different things, and always trying to think outside the box. I think that's really appreciated. I love all the things that you do, and I look forward to seeing what will come in the new year.
And I also appreciate everything that you do, and Juan, and the ribbon cuttings and promoting businesses in town. I think it's very important, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Councilmember Cash, you good?
No, I'm good, thank you once again. I really appreciate you looking into that whole farmers market. We've got to figure out a way to revive everything else. It's just something that's really good. Everybody that said this took it all from me, so I can't really say much. But other than thank you, please continue to do good.
Do you have a mixer on Wednesday? Is that for the public knowledge? Where's that? Wednesday?
I got school.
A meet and greet?
Yes, no, Thursday is the
Teachers.
20th annual Teacher of the Year. Wednesday is our monthly after-hours mixer. It will be taking place at Laverne Heritage Park from 5 to 7 p.m. It's an absolutely wonderful event. If you've not been to the property, they'll do tours of the Weber House. They've just refurbished the barn, so they'll have the barn open for tours. And our Citizen of the Year, our older Volunteer of the Year, Pat Bauer, will be driving tractor tours around the property as well.
There you go. With that, I need a motion. Have a second.
I'll second.
Vote please.
That motion carried 5-0.
Leah, we'll move you up the ladder next time, I promise.
Best for last every year.
You know, who wants to go behind SB9? And I was like, geez. Thank you very much. With that, we're going to open up public comments, and I have some speaker cards here. Thank you all. I'm going to call, who is this person? Piper Burke. Piper, welcome back. Future leaders here. Hi.
Hello, my name is Piper Burke. I'm a Laverne resident. And I feel as if the Fox Glide community is, for the most part, against this project. Sometimes a person will say this is a great thing. As soon as they say that, I ask myself, do I really think that this person lives in the Fox Glide neighborhood? I think that the people who say yes to this do not realize how this building will affect this community. It will affect the residents of our community more than any other neighborhood. I feel that it is unfair that they are building it here. I know there are other vacant areas for this project. In fact, I even drove by one. If this project proceeds, then it will replace a family-owned business. This project is in walking distance to a Montessori school, a middle school, and multiple elementary schools, including my school.
Thank you very much. Next, Mayor Laverne. Robert Burke.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members, residents of Laverne, San Dimas, and all communities within the Los Angeles County. Thank you for allowing me to speak at this time, and thank you, Mayor Hepburn, for your support, doing your minute with the mayors, and for everything that you've done to help us thus far. My name is Robert Burke. My family and I have been residents of the Fox Glen community for the past 10 years. For those not familiar with the Fox Glen community, it is the northern neighborhood directly adjacent to the proposed 740 Foothill project. City Council members, I know you are all very familiar with this issue, and with all due respect, I would like to focus and take this public opportunity to speak to the residents regarding the opposition of this project. For the past few weeks, many individuals, including my family and I, have continuously struggled with the thought of this proposed project day and night. We have heard ample scenarios regarding what this could potentially bring to our neighborhoods. However, in the midst of it all, we know there is some misinformation being spread. That being said, I would like to inform you of the following. The community residents in opposition of this project are not against helping the homeless population or senior citizens. Our fight is regarding the location of this development. And please note, this project is not a retirement community. As stated directly from the developer's website, 100% of the apartment homes will be set aside for seniors experiencing or at risk of homelessness. Seniors being defined by National Core as age 55 and older, not how the state of California defines them as 62 years of age or older. The opposition is in support of protecting the safety of all, especially our children, but also those that would conceivably occupy this proposed facility. The opposition is in support of protecting the immediate residents and businesses that it will impact, as well as those businesses that it will remove, such as Olive's Market. The opposition is fighting to protect not just the communities it is affecting now, but those that will be affected in the future. This project was days away from being voted on by the LA Board of County Supervisors when our city council members in Laverne and San Dimas were informed about it. This is just one of many attempts to strip our local governments of their power. By allowing this project to proceed, it is taking away power from our local governments. It is playing the buy right card to push them aside and have no say in what the local communities should be able to help organize. The proposed address of 740 Foothill Boulevard is actually a combination of the addresses 740 and 800, which in total equates to 0.64 acres. Please note that this is not the empty lot surrounded by a white vinyl fence next to Olive's Market. This project address is Olive's Market, including the home just on the backside of the white fence. The currently empty lot is just that, an empty lot, and is not part of this development. Please make sure that what you read and what you repeat are factual, because there are individuals spreading false information that only strengthens National Corps' case to develop in this location. I drive past this address at least 6 times a day. I know what the traffic is like, and I have seen my fair share of the accidents that occur there. And yes, I even know about our current issues related to the homeless concerns that we struggle with. I find it hard to believe that anyone that knows this location as much as, or more than myself, would ever consider putting such a monstrosity at this location, let alone shut down a small business, subject neighbors to the shadow of such a development, or even allow it to be within a doorstep of an elementary school. As my daughter has done for me, I encourage you to take a stand and speak out against this proposed development. Please, I ask you, take a few minutes out of your day and call your county supervisor to voice your opposition regarding the proposed location for this project. Put a sign in your yard, on your car, anything that will help spread the word and let them know that you oppose this project. And with that, I ask for City Council members in all of LA County to step up and support these oppositions. Help us help you. This is not right. By right is not right. Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys are lucky out to get the whole Burke clan tonight. Good evening, my name is Melissa Burke, and I'm a resident of Laverne. My daughter and I spoke at the last council meeting. Since that last meeting, there's been a huge influx of misinformation spread online about the proposal from National Corps at 740 East Foothill Boulevard. So I just wanted to take a few minutes, just as my husband did, to address some of the statements that I've seen online, and hopefully somebody watching tonight will get the truth of what's actually happening. So some community members are saying that this development is for seniors and it will be a senior retirement community. I would like to remind people that they are defining seniors as 55 and older, and I am a little over 10 years away from that. I would certainly not identify as being a senior in any capacity. We are talking about individuals that are still very youthful. So this is not a senior retirement center. It is a house. It will house seniors that are at risk of being homeless or are chronic homeless, experience chronic homelessness. And the National Alliance to End Homelessness defines chronic homelessness as people who have experienced homelessness for at least a year or repeatedly while struggling with a disabling condition such as a serious mental illness, substance abuse disorder, or physical disability. Another thing that I've seen people say is that all the residents are going to go through background checks. According to last week's Zoom meeting with National Corps, the residents, yes, will be screened to make sure that they have not committed a violent or sexual crime in the past 5 years. But other than that, they will not be screening for drugs or firearms. I've seen people state that inspections will take place frequently, so we don't need to worry about how the property will look or who is residing in the units. Again, according to National Corps' Zoom meeting last week, the units will only undergo annual inspections. They also stated that they're relying solely on the property manager and staff to identify if people are breaking the rules. So there's really no other formal inspections. Another statement was that the City of Laverne and San Dimas do not have any resources put in place for people experiencing homelessness, and that's why we're getting this development. I would like to advise and remind all the residents of Laverne that this is incorrect. The City of Laverne Community Services Department partners with the Laverne Police Department, Tri-City, LATCA, and they're proactively providing services to Laverne's unhoused population while prioritizing the safety of the community. Together they are the LEAP, which is the Laverne Engagement Action Partners team. There's also If you go onto the Laverne website, you can find a whole section titled for services for unhoused residents. So please, community members, be aware of that. Another statement was that this building will specifically serve the homeless in our area. The last homeless count that I was able to find for the city of Laverne indicated that it was 10 persons. National Corps said that the individuals will be screened from LA County and brought into this facility, and so therefore they will not be local to this area. Lastly, this development does not pose a threat to children. That's what I've seen. Stated multiple times, yes, children will be directly encountering these individuals on a daily basis as they walk to and from school. So remember, again, they are only going to be screening these residents for their past 5 years of criminal records. I hope that everyone that is listening tonight takes the time to do their own research. I completely understand that there's a need to help those that are experiencing homelessness. However, there are more appropriate locations within our city limits that are better suited for this type of development. Just because we are against this location does not mean that we are soulless or heartless, as people have mentioned online. It is rather quite the opposite. I care deeply about this community, and I am being a good steward to my community by wanting a better location for all that are involved. Lastly, for the city council members, I do have a couple of questions I'd like to throw out there. I know you can't answer tonight, but if this development does go through, how will it be funded down the line? Will our city taxes go to increase to support this homeless housing? How will this be sustained? With the limited parking at the proposed development, how will the city enforce the residents from not parking overnight in the Foxglowing community? And tonight there's a lot of mention of this whole half-mile radius of public transportation and parking exemptions. I don't know if that would apply to this, but I'm curious if there's any way that parking can be prohibited in our neighborhood. And just to let you know, there has been a lot of talk about the possibility of making Foxglowing a gated community to help curb some of the items that have been discussed, such as loitering through our neighborhood, the parking on the residential streets, etc. As far as I'm concerned, National Corps gave our cities the metaphorical middle finger. I will continue to show my opposition, and I will continue to place banners around this town until they can be decent enough to meet with the residents and city government face to face. I certainly do not consider a one-sided Zoom presentation to be community engagement. I hope that you'll continue to fight for us and with us and voice our concerns to the LA County Board of Supervisors and to National Corps. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jorge Rivera. Now you can talk.
Now.
Oh, no, never mind.
Oh,
Sorry.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Jorge Rivera. I'm with a nonprofit organization called the Healing and Justice Center. We service all of LA County, but we're really focused in on the San Gabriel Valley. And our mission is to help communities and organizations by creating healing, safe, and connected spaces. We believe that if we're going to build long-lasting movements, we need healing and relationship strengthening approaches at the center of advocacy, organizing, and civic engagement. Our services include like a free tenant counseling hotline. We do nonviolent parent education classes, regenerative conflict resolution training, movement-based healing practices, and our advocacy is focused in on tenants' rights and affordable housing, as well as digital equity, which is what we want to focus in on today. The COVID pandemic highlighted the essential need for access to the internet and broadband. I think that we may have all seen the photograph of the two small children sitting outside a fast food restaurant just trying to connect to the Wi-Fi to get their homework done. And we felt that, that children like these, or thousands of families like them, it's shameful that they have to resort to these measures just to do their schoolwork. And even if you wanted to find employment, you wanted to find COVID resources, you wanted to see your doctor, go to school, or just pass the time watching Netflix, or even attend a city council meeting, you needed to have access to broadband and internet. And it's not just about access, but it's also having the equipment and the literacy to be able to navigate the internet. So we joined a coalition called Digital Equity Los Angeles, which is a coalition of over 50 organizations from different fields, education, healthcare, housing, environment, as many as you can name. And the coalition researched and highlighted discriminatory pricing practices by internet service providers like Charter Spectrum, which services over 80% of LA County, essentially making it a monopoly. We found that they were offering promotional pricing lower in more affluent areas than in lower income areas. Areas like San Gabriel, Azusa, and other parts of San Gabriel Valley. And we published these disparities in a report, which you can find online at digitalequityla.org. I didn't print one out for you because it's too many pages. And so we're going around every city council for the last 3.5 months across SGV asking city councils to support our efforts in trying to get the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors to investigate these pricing discriminatory practices and to put a stop to them and to find community-based solutions. And so we're asking city councils such as yours to look at the information that we provided, the fact sheets, to look at the pricing disparities report, and write a letter to the County Board of Supervisors just asking them to investigate this, and if they find anything that is notorious or discriminatory, that they do something about it. And yeah, we're happy to meet with you individually, answer any questions, provide you with data, as some other cities in San Gabriel Valley have asked us for, just to maybe support any positioning that you want to take. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Jerry Kula.
Members of the City Council, the League of Women Voters of the Mount Baldy area has members that observe local government. I'm half of your team with Gwen Carr, and you're invited to attend a meeting when annual reports will be made. The meeting will be on Sunday, June 11th at 2 p.m. in the Garner House that's located in Memorial Park on Indian Hill Boulevard in Claremont, where they do their concerts. The observers for Laverne are Gwen and I. There will be observers reporting from other cities and other associations in the area. The League of Women Voters is not just for women. We study issues at the local, county, state, and national level and take positions, but we never take positions on candidates. Written reports are available on the website from last year if you'd like to look at those. Any questions?
No, thank you very much. It's actually on our calendar, so that's good.
Good.
Thank you.
We have your RSVP, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Mr. Bowen.
Mr. Mayor, Rick Bowen. I just want to make a quick comment that we're talking about losing city rights. We're talking about losing county rights. We're talking about losing most of our rights apparently to the state for some reason. And I just noticed under 15, one common thread is the words signed into law by Governor Newsom. So if we know who's taking away our rights, I think we've got a pretty good suspect. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bowen. Ms. Bochamp.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. I find it ironic that Mr. Crosby brought up that we need to
contact our state legislators and assembly people and, as Rick said, the governor, and let them know that the laws that they're passing are not acceptable. And I'll give you an idea. This housing project is literally the tip of the iceberg. Scott Wiener is proposing SB 423, which is an amendment to SB 35. And what that will do is punish cities for past RENA failures. So even though you will be in compliance now with the housing element that's going to be submitted, if there was a time 20 years ago that you did not meet those requirements, you will now be forced to do so. So there will be even more of a forceful impact on this city for housing to be built, and you will have zero say in it. The inclusionary rate for low-income units will drop to 10%. CEQA and environment will be completely irrelevant. Even the Coastal Commission authority will be overruled by the HCD, which is what they were discussing in SB 9, I'm sorry. And what's really sad about it is that Anthony Portantino is the chair of this appropriations committee. That is our senator, was our senator, still is until next year. So we need to contact these people and let them know that this is not what we want. And I feel like we're always one step behind, and I don't know why that is with our city. We have a healthy staff. We have an able city manager now. Why is it that me as just a regular citizen is the one that is bringing this to your attention? It's just as the letter that we requested in opposition for this housing project, that should have been on the agenda, that should have been done just as the way San Dimas did. And you had to have a special meeting to hold that. And it couldn't even be recorded because it's a special meeting and that costs extra money to the city. You know, there's just a domino effect. I think we need to have somebody that's more proactive about the assembly bills and the Senate bills that are coming down the pike from Sacramento, and we have a direct line with them to let them know that just because we're a small city does not mean we're going to lay down and just take this without a fight. The residents here moved here for a reason, and they're willing to step up to the mic, protest. We've gotten media coverage. There's even talk about collecting money and getting their own attorney. This is a serious matter for these residents. This is their largest investment, is their home and their families. And if this council does not take that seriously, I don't know what it will take. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bochamp. Anyone else wish to speak on any item?
Previously, Councilmember Carter.
Mine's real quick. Had an HOA meeting, and there were a couple questions they asked, and I didn't know, so I thought I'd bring it to you. The water restrictions for the state of California were lifted. What about the fees for the city of Laverne? Is there still the fees going to be in place, and has the water restriction been lifted for this year? You can answer that afterwards, I know you will. The other thing is, I just want to give a huge thank you to our police department. They are dealing, not just daily, but all the time, continuously, with the homeless. And I know the state of California wanted to be called unhoused, but they're homeless. They're a lot of work for our police department. Even the fire department has to go and attend to them and put their lives in danger when they're going to either drug overdoses or violent situations. So I would love to ask the community, when you see one of our officers, firemen, out on the street, thank them for what they do, because they're all putting their lives on the line. Thanks.
Anyone else on public comment? We're going to go ahead and close public comment. We will go to, would you like to answer that question about the water restrictions, Mr. Gomes?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So those, when the state lifted and then our local water providers lifted their restrictions, we also stopped any type of penalty assessment for water over usage. So those restrictions are no longer in place here. We still encourage you to conserve water, but
Yeah,
Just do water wise.
as Mr. Bocock stated. Council comments, who would like to start? Councilmember Cash.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it. Appreciate the opportunity. Comment on so correct. No, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak today. Thank you, God, for giving me an opportunity to be here again in front of you all. I don't have much to really put out. We look forward to seeing hopefully these new events. We've got some upcoming events this month. We do have the Teachers Award, which is on Thursday, and I'll be there for that one. Lutheran High School Change of Command Ceremony, which is really exciting. And since they are kind of a military high school, which is a great high school, I'll be able to attend hopefully their Change of Command Ceremony. That's coming up on May 28th. Determined. And May is graduation month for a lot of us here in our community. I don't want to steal anybody's thunder to talk about it, but I'll just lift that up for you guys to go ahead and spike. But Lenaro goes from high school to Ramona and to the University of Verne. And all the other private schools here, Damien, Cal Baptist, and Lutheran. Godspeed. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Cash. Councilmember Johnson.
I think we've gone over most of this already. Tim and I were at the 740 project on Foothill Boulevard to that protest last Sunday, 2 weeks ago. We were at the Laverne Day at the Fair, recognizing different community award recipients. And Saturday was Pat Gaddy's service. We were at Veterans Hall. That's all I have.
Councilmember Lau. Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Couple items. Cassie had their meeting whenever it was, but it was like a week or two ago. I can't even remember.
It was
First Wednesday of the
It was the
of
3rd, May 3rd.
And one of the things I wanted to share out is that I think there was a collection of people who really want to be involved in the community, want to know how they can help. And so a lot of good discussion came about because there are people involved in churches or people involved in nonprofits. And so it was a lot of sharing of information and resources. So I think that if anyone here is involved in any sort of like a nonprofit or a group that would like volunteers, it's a good place to go talk to people who are interested in finding ways to contribute to the community. So I will plug that for June, when they have their first meeting, please feel free to attend or seek out additional information, because I think that's an amazing resource and an ability to network and build your communities with people that you might not have met before. I attended the ULB Gala on May 6th, as did Mayor Pro Tem Rick Crosby and members of the city staff, and it was a beautiful event. I don't know if any of you had the chance to go past it. It was outdoors over by the Ledwick Center. They closed down the street. The theme was Wizard of Oz. It was beautiful. We had students, and all the proceeds that are raised there go to student scholarships and programs, and that's really important. And we were able to raise $1.9 million that evening, which is really impressive. And I know I said this before, but I want to again shout out Laverne Fire and Laverne PD for contributing amazing silent auction items. So someone is having a lovely firehouse dinner with our fire department, and someone's going to get to go hang out with Sam for a day. And
I thought you were going to say ladder truck.
Yes, on top of the ladder truck, though. There's still liabilities. But thank you both for helping us coordinate and really making that happen. I really appreciate that. So please tell your folks too that we're really appreciative of that, because that did contribute to the $1.9 million that was raised that evening. And as Councilmember Johnson said, there were many of us in attendance for the the Los Angeles County Fair opening day and Laverne Day at the fair. If you haven't had a chance to go, it's so much nicer in May than it is in September. Not hot, it's a lot better, but it was a great day to build community. And as the mayor's reminding me, it was the 101st, or it's the 101st fair, which is pretty cool. But there are really awesome exhibits. If you're a Lego freak, they've got a whole exhibit on giant Legos, which is like amazing to me because I built little houses and stuff. I didn't build these giant things. But there's also a partnership with LACMA, and LACMA has an amazing exhibit there as well. I also wanted to share that some of you may be familiar with the Leo Food Pantry, which is at the University of Laverne, and they collect non-perishable food items for students. and also just, personal products, et cetera, because we do have a high population of, I was going to say high, but there are the population of students that don't have the resources they need in order to be able to succeed in school. And so if you have anything that you'd like to donate, they are always taking donations. They're located in the Wellness Center, which is right across the street from where Stuhan used to be, across the street from the police department. But now they've also started another project called the ULV Leo Baby Pantry Project. So as you may be aware, not all of our students are traditional undergrads. They're not straight, into college. Some of them may be older adults, but we do have folks that are parents. And for any of you that are parents, I'm sure trying to juggle a job, a kid, going to school is no small feat. And so anything that you might have that you might like to contribute, they are also collecting items for the ULV Leo Baby Pantry Project. And last but not least, to pony on Councilmember Cash's comment, it is commencement season. It's a beautiful time. It's a great time to celebrate milestones and just the beginning of new chapters. So just be, celebratory and get to celebrate all the people you love for their accomplishments. And then just, as a word to the wise, Memorial Day weekend is University of Laverne's commencement weekend. So we have graduations on Friday, we have graduations on Saturday, and they are on campus. So just be aware that may or may not affect traffic, and it may drive more, we hope, more business into our local downtown area. So hopefully more people are taking their grads there to celebrate and spend money and take them out to dinner and all that good stuff. But that may affect your plans if you're not part of the folks celebrating. So just be aware. So as always, be kind, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Councilmember Val. Councilmember Mayor Pro Tem Crosby.
This Wednesday and Thursday is Bonita High School's pop show for the choir, which is at the Bonita Center for the Arts. And we have our Teacher of the Year this Thursday was said. But one thing I want to make sure it's noted is not only the Bonita Unified Teacher of the Year of all the schools, but they also celebrate Damien, Lutheran, and Applebaum Page's teachers as well. And so
Calvary and Holy Name too.
Sorry.
All of them.
Every school, which I know the city I work in does not do that, and Laverne is special because we recognize all of our great teachers and their schools. So appreciate that, Leah. We have the Memorial Day event at 11 a.m. On the Monday of Memorial Day. We also have on May 21st the K-9 Foundation fundraiser at Lutheran High School as well. Beginning of today's meeting lasted 45 minutes, and it was an exceptional 45 minutes. It is, I believe, what makes our city, celebrating great student achievement, celebrating great career achievement from Mr. Bocock and what he has done for the city and for residents not only in Laverne but in the Tri-Cities as well. And then our state senator being here to listen to us. Don't always agree with our state senators, but Senator Rubio being here meant a lot as well. That she can be here and listen to us, and I really appreciate that being here. And that's what makes Laverne a great thing, is that we can come here and talk about our disagreements. We can come here and express our feelings, but we do it in a manner that is not putting other people down. The mayor said that we went to another city council meeting just last week, and that wasn't the same.
But that's an understatement.
And where the decorum in the crowd was against and attacking each other, and it was not the way we do it in Laverne. And we all don't agree 100% of everything, but appreciate the way we say it. It's not about against the people, it's about against policies, and there's a way to do that in a way that's respectful. And I believe Laverne does that and does that well. And so just appreciate being here and being on this dais with all of you and with the residents that helps guide us too. So appreciate that.
Thank you, Mr. Crosby. I will say, though, that the city council in San Diego was very accommodating to us, and they were very friendly and very open, and we were treated extremely well. Just, cities do things differently, but all in all, we were treated extremely well, and I do appreciate that. Just a couple go backs. 101 years. No, I have not been to every 101 years of the fair, just to make that perfectly clear. Second, most of them. I remember when they had elephant rides at the fair, so there you go. Okay. Yeah, he wants llamas and whatever. I want to say when at the fair on the day of Laverne Day, that our community services department, our police department, and our fire department had booths in under the animal shelter there, so that was pretty cool, and I think people really enjoyed that. I guess the people that came to the fair, there was, how many, 19 schools or something they said? A lot of schools, and they just barraged them with stuff, and they had stuff to giveaways, and so great job by staff. You guys did a great job. They loved that. Again, love the meeting today. I just appreciate everybody being here, but I also love the schools being here and celebrating these achievements, and also Senator Rubio. It's just nice for her. She makes it a point, like Mayor Pro Tem Crosby said, you may not agree with everything that she does or our higher electeds do. She's here. She's in person. And I will say for the other ones, a lot of them don't, as far as like Senator Portantino, he has come a few times, but Senator Rubio on one weekend probably visits 10 places on a Saturday to make her presence shown. And we really appreciate that. And how much she's a teacher at heart, so she comes in, she loved every minute of that. So I really do appreciate her coming. With that, we are going to adjourn this meeting tonight at 9:45 p.m. in memory of Terry Muse, City of Laverne's Waste Management Public Sector Manager. Since 2013, Terry has been a regular fixture in our community. Terry served on the board of directors for the Laverne Chamber of Commerce, participated in many of the 4th of July parades, community yard sale, wine and beer walks, and charity golf tournaments. She also worked tirelessly behind the scenes, facilitating donations of waste management services, educating businesses and neighborhoods about solid waste solutions, and helped address solid waste issues within our city. She is survived by her husband of more than 30 years, David, and children David, Ariana, Taylor, and Sean. Terry and her dedication to the betterment of the San Gabriel Valley will be missed by many, including the Laverne community. She was an amazing person. I know staff really adored her. She had lots of wonderful relationships with our staff, and she will truly be missed. We are adjourning to Monday, June 5th, 2023 at 4:30 p.m. for a budget study presentation with department heads. Next regular scheduled meeting of Laverne City Council is scheduled for June 5th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. Thank you everybody for participating, and stay safe. We are adjourned.